Moves to the area, picking up again at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll continue bringing you the latest updates right up to the NFC Championship game between LA and Seattle.
And you can also make sure you watch us on our digital platforms as well.
Thank you for watching. Stay safe, everyone.
Effective, and that's why roads continue to be rough, and we also continue to deal with some ongoing sleet this morning as we head into the afternoon as well, Ted.
Yeah, we could even
effective, and that's why roads continue to be rough, and we also continue to deal with some ongoing sleet this morning as we head into the afternoon.
Right now in the Carolinas, more than 1 million customers across the South are without power, and that number could increase with conditions set to worsen. Good evening to you. I'm Morgan Francis.
And I'm Julian Sador. Queen City News has crews live across the Charlotte area and in South Carolina monitoring the icy conditions and where things stand right now. And we do want to mention, we know there is a very big football game on this evening, the NFC Championship, Seahawks versus Rams. Do not worry, we're going to take you all the way up to that pregame coverage with no breaks, getting you ready for the winter storm.
Yeah, you're not going to miss any of that action. No. But first, let's check in with meteorologist Andrew Brightman and Ted Phaeton in the Pinpoint Weather Center. Guys, how are conditions looking right now?
Yeah, we have team coverage with all of our folks out and about here, keeping an eye on conditions as we are tracking the brunt of the storm, guys. We are not done with the impacts here, Andrew. We've watched it since overnight. The sleet, a little bit of that freezing rain mixed in, but now we're looking and staring down the beginning of what could be the most intense parts of the storm.
This is going to be the most intense part of the storm. This is something we've talked about so much over the past few days. We'd have a first wave come through. Maybe that'd be mainly sleet. We even got a little bit of snow mixed in overnight because of how cold the temperatures got. We got down all the way to 18 degrees. But on the flip side, Temperatures haven't moved up. I've been watching the obs over at Charlotte Douglas Airport. We've been oscillating between 21, 22 degrees, and we have the heaviest part of this storm that's going to be moving through probably roughly 30 to 55 minutes from now, probably by about 4 o'clock. We're going to be seeing heavy sleet and potentially very heavy freezing rain, Ted.
Yeah, we told folks, hey, the lull was happening midday. Some people looking out the door thinking
the storm's over.
Yeah, it's not over yet. And again, if you are maybe enjoying some of the sleet in your area, some of the sites on foot, not in the roads, it's time to get back to the house and make sure you're hunkered down for what will be the brunt of the storm.
Yeah.
Let's pull up the timing for you, looking ahead at what exactly you need to watch out for. 4 to 5 o'clock will ramp up the intensity of the rainfall moving in. That's going to linger into your 7 and 8 o'clock hour before tapering off heading into the evening. Let's break down what we're seeing right now, because radar, when I say a lull in your impacts, it doesn't mean that the storm is over or stopping. It's just a slower impact, which is already seeing some of the freezing rain here up towards our mountain counties, Highway 321 into Gaston County. Let's see if we can put the clock into motion here and keep things moving forward. As we zoom out, we have that low pressure system pushing further north. This Miller B setup with the secondary low pressure system off of the mid-Atlantic. High pressure to our north, pulling all that cold air and trapping it over the Queen City right along the Piedmont region, which is where all this moist, warm air is flowing overhead. As Andrew mentioned, we dropped down to 18 degrees, still holding on to those bitter cold temperatures as that warm, moist air falls aggressively into the Carolinas and across the Piedmont region, then freezes on contact, which is how we get the recipe for freezing rain. So right now, temperatures holding on to those low 20s, 22, 23 degrees towards Rock Hill into Gastonia. We're seeing more of those wind gusts, giving us the wind chill of 18 and 13 degrees, so it feels much colder than what your thermometer is reading out there. As we look at your road conditions, sleet-covered roadways, the patchy ice in the pink, more of the just straight icy roadways in Gaston County indicated by the red. Be on the lookout for those impacts as we look at futurecast here. Andrew, heading into the afternoon, the brunt of this storm, it's really just bearing down on us in the matter of the next hour or so.
Yeah, and that's what we really want to take you through here over the next few hours. Is the worst part of this storm is going to be moving in, Ted, across the Carolinas. We pull a futurecast right now. You'll see exactly what's going to be going on. Temperatures, they aren't really moving up all that much right now across the central Carolinas. So temperatures right now about in the middle 20, are going to be maybe in the middle 20s here in Charlotte as this storm really starts to pick up in intensity. Can you guys potentially switch on over to links number 2 here, and I can show you hour by hour what's going on in futurecasts across the Carolinas. That's the radar loop showing you again. It's trying to erode that cold wedge we've talked about so much, but just not having a lot of success. And temperatures, Ted, as you were talking about, really locked into basically the low to mid 20s here across the region, and they're not going to be moving up. Might get a bump up to about 25, 26 degrees, but those are really efficient conditions for ice accretion, ice buildup here if we do get, and likely going to see at least hopefully sleet, but also a freezing rain on the way. We're going to be taking you through more of what you can expect with this storm coming up in just a few minutes with our full forecast. But stay up to date with the latest conditions ahead of this weekend storm. Make sure you're using the Pinpoint Weather Alert app. It's free to download in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
All right, guys, thanks so much for that. Let's check in on the power outages that customers are currently dealing with. Again, we're expecting more weather to move into the area, potentially make conditions worse and increase the number of outages that we're seeing right now. In and around the Charlotte area, you can see a few hundred here and there peppered around the area that are currently without power. And again, Duke Energy has previously said that they will not go out on roads if conditions are not safe for their linemen and women. So they're going to wait until conditions are safe for their workers before heading out to fix some of those issues that we're seeing right now. A few other companies offer services to people in the Carolinas. This one right here, we're looking at NC Electric Cooperatives. They currently have roughly 9,300 members without power, and you can see those areas highlighted throughout the state. The green is, roughly 1 to 99 people without power. The yellow is 100 to 500 people without power. The orange is 500 to 1,000, and then the red is 1,000 plus people without power. Yeah,
and here's the thing, as we go through the night, again, we had that first band earlier this morning. We have another band of that freezing rain coming in tonight, so it's kind of going to be the same scenario. You could go to bed with power tonight, wake up without it, and we do have crews all over. We want to go ahead and try to get out to our first crew. We do have Matt Stell in Huntersville over there. Matt, you were doing your best Olympic figure skating last night. Has it already gotten icy today? We're starting it early, my friend.
He's back.
You know what, Julian and Morgan, not a lot of ice skating, not a lot of figure skating here in Huntersville this afternoon. As you can tell, you can call this a winter wonderland, but I think it's really a mirage. Well, it does look beautiful out here with all of the white ice. Yeah, it's not what you see. It's what do they say? It's not what you see, but it's what's under that. And it's thick ice. So not a lot of skating here. I'm going to have my photographer Tim kind of pan over to my right. This is the intersection of Statesville Road and Holly Point Drive. This is a major intersection here just not too far from I-77. Drivers are taking it very slow, as they should. It is a very slushy mess, and not the good kind of slush out here in this intersection. You'll see a black Toyota coming through the intersection right now, and also wanting to note that this is a decline as drivers go through this intersection. So there's a Range Rover about to turn into this quick trip right here, taking it very slow because the ice here in Huntersville is very thick, and they just honked at us. So I think they're coming over to Quick Trip to get some gas here. But yeah, folks, this has been the story here in Huntersville for today. As much as you would love to pick up some of this, what you think is snow, and make Frosty the Snowman, not the case. Can't do that today. Yeah, you can put it in your hands just a bit. I'm trying to pick it up for you, and I can't even grab it. It's not going to work. And by the way, Morgan and Julian, I had to bring out my industrial gloves for you this afternoon. Yesterday, I had on my real nice, fancy leather gloves. I told my photographer, Tim, those were not doing the trick. So I had to pull out the real ones because that wind here in Huntersville, still brutal. Not as bad as it was last night, but still coming through. And we're getting a little bit of sleet. We know that second band, as you guys have talked about, is on the way in, and we're feeling it for sure here in Huntersville. We saw Huntersville police posting online today, warning citizens and asking residents. I know, they say they know it's tempting for you to want to jump in your car and go out and see the sights and maybe try to do snow angels. They're asking people here in Huntersville, don't risk it. Don't risk it. The ice here is something serious, not anything to play with. So they're asking folks to just stay inside. You know, there was a lot of good football happening. Going to be some great football here on Fox in a little bit as well. But they're asking people just to stay indoors, get comfy, because they don't want anyone to, of course, get into any sort of accident or crash, and they don't want to put their first responders at risk as well. So that's the story here in Huntersville. We'll keep you updated as much as we can. We're going to try to talk to some drivers who are out stopping by the Quick Trip. They're wanting to probably stop at this Zaxby's that's to the left of me, but Zaxby's is closed for good reason. So that's the latest here in Huntersville. Morgan and Julian.
All right, Matt. And yes, good call on leaving the Italian leather behind today and going with the industrial gloves. Matt, we're going to check in with you in just a little bit.
Probably a new purchase because you just came here from Texas.
That is true.
All right, we're seeing some of the impacts of the freezing conditions in the Charlotte area. This is just so unfortunate. A pipe burst inside the Allure at South Park Apartments on Carnegie Boulevard. That's right near South Park Mall. Take a look at this video. It's shared with us from inside. You can see some of the flooding both inside the parking garage and in the hallways of the apartments. Quite the mess. We're told that there's some water damage inside apartments, so residents are dealing with that whole mess right now.
And not just in South Park. Let's go ahead and take you up to Statesville as the city says a water main break shut down Chambers Street and Elm Street. The main broke around 1 p.m. They say it could be as late as 7 before it's repaired. Residents in the area could see their water go out for a bit until it's fixed. Crews are asking everyone to avoid the area considering the dangerous conditions. And again, officials already saying you shouldn't be out on the roadways anyway.
Matt Stell, not the only one who has upgraded his gear today. Let's go right out to Queen City News reporter David Schuman in West Charlotte.
David, how's it over there? I see you have the umbrella out there. Some precipitation coming down.
Morgan and Julian, this is supposed to be the lull in the afternoon, as Andrew and Ted were mentioning, but right when we came on the air, a little after 3 o'clock, this turned into a pretty heavy stream of rain, and it's not the frozen rain or the sleet that we've been seeing the last 10 to 12 hours, but this is wet rain. I broke out the umbrella, and it just kind of makes you worried about if the rain hits the ground and it's so cold, like, is it going to freeze into more ice? I'm going to step aside. We are off of I-85 at the Sam Wilson Road exit in West Charlotte, and out here, there are very few cars, not what you would expect to see on a Sunday afternoon, which is encouraging, right? That people are staying off the roads, people are heeding the warnings and doing their best to stay safe. But we also saw a couple of plows come through earlier, and so they're doing their work. So conditions could improve, but if it keeps raining like this, it's hard to say. And the DOT has said today that a lot of the roads around Charlotte are partially or completely iced over. And I can tell you, I was driving earlier to get into work. I was on 85. I drove down Freedom Drive, and I felt like I was in a little bit of a commercial for ice road truckers, right? It was just white ahead of you, and you don't know what's under that. It's slippery, but if you take it safe, if you do have to drive, keep it slow. Give yourself a lot of time to brake. Gradually braking is the best thing to do. No hard, slamming on any pedals. And yeah, so the rain is kind of picking up here. We're going to continue to see how this changes in the next couple hours into perhaps something heavier, and keep watching for plow trucks to be out here doing their thing. And so far, so good right now. So back to you.
All right, David, thanks so much for that. Those NCDOT workers are 1,600 crew members and contractors working, 12-plus hour shifts to clear the roads and make sure they're safe for drivers.
Yeah, and here's a message they've been giving since yesterday, really all week long. North Carolina transportation officials urging drivers to just stay off of the roads today.
Yeah, in their update today, they say right now their focus is to clear and treat primary roads for drivers.
The biggest areas of concern are the secondary roads that we're not treating currently. All of our bare pavement system we are treating with salt or blend of some sort, and so we're keeping a close eye on those, but the routes that haven't been treated yet are definitely going to be icy and treacherous, so just be careful.
And as you can see from this map, this is Drive NC map. State transportation crews are reporting snow and ice covering primary and secondary roads. Basically in every county in our area, Julian.
That's right, and we've seen those traffic conditions kind of reflect as people are taking it really slow out there. I want to take you to different parts of the Charlotte Metro. Let's go over to Queen City News reporter Maureen Wirtz in the Noda neighborhood. We saw David Schumann with an umbrella. Maureen, how are things over in Noda for you?
Julian, in the last 30 minutes or so, it has gotten so much slicker, and I kind of want to show you guys what is now coating all of this sidewalk and the snow. If you can kind of zoom in, Jenna, you see that ice that is on this leaf, that is on the sidewalks, that's on the branches, that's on the plants around here, and even just walking out to this live shot right here, we noticed how much slicker it is. There's a little bit of moisture coming down from this.
Operate 24/7.
Want to get out to Shakira Speaks, who is in Midtown. Shakira, it looks like a winter wonderland behind you, but we know that it's all ice pretty much, right?
Yeah, I wish, Morgan, I wish it was a winter wonderland. I sent a message to Ted and Brandon earlier today on Instagram and posted, and I was like, you can't tell me this isn't snow. But Brandon told me that it is a wintry mix. You can see the people behind me. There are people still on the roads. Corey, let's walk over to the road right quick and see what the roads look like. This looks easy to drive in. It is very sludgy right now, but as the meteorologists have been telling everybody, you can see that car just went past. They've been going at a pretty high rate of speed. But as you can hear the meteorologist saying that it's not going to be any easier later on. It's not over. We still have a second round coming in. But we've been seeing people drive all morning. It was the roads looked a lot more white this morning. And now as people have been being on the roads, it has become into more sludge. Very cold out here right now. Very windy up here in Midtown. We are looking, point over here, Corey. The Duke Energy crews are staying over here at the La Meridian. They are awaiting. They're sitting inside in the warmth, awaiting to possibly go out for power outages a little later today. They tell me they're supposed to be leaving around 6:30 today just to go make sure that everything around here is good. We are across the park, across the street from Marshall Park. Not a lot of people out. People are still out walking their dogs, but it's not as many people as we were expecting to see this morning and this afternoon. We'll be out here for the next few hours just to see how conditions are being monitored here in the weather. Again, we're outside of the La Meridian right here across the Marshall Park. Guys, back to you.
I like seeing, Shakira, that it is at least a little slushy on the road because it means that some of that brine is working. I know we're right at that 21 degree mark when we see the effectiveness go down.
All right, Shaq, you go ahead, get inside of a car, stay warm. We're going to catch up with her in just a bit. Now, a layer of snow can actually be seen at the Lake Norman Air Park. This is just northwest of Mooresville. We're going to talk about the slush out there. Obviously, nobody flying today. We've seen the cancellations at Charlotte Douglas. Nobody flying from Lake Norman Air Park either. Yeah, I mean, we know that if the big planes aren't taking off at Charlotte Douglas International, these smaller ones aren't going to risk it either. We do have some beautiful pictures today out of the town of Dallas from the police department's Facebook page. You can see that it looks like everything's blanketed with a little bit of snow. Don't let that pretty sight fool you, though. Road conditions, as we've been talking about, are still dangerous out there. As a meteorologist, our team of meteorologists have been saying there is more to come. The police department there is reminding residents to stay safe and go to the Citizens Resource Center at the Dallas Civic Center for warming stations. You can also dial 911 for emergencies. Don't forget that. Okay, so obviously staying in Gaston County, let's now go to Gastonia, where we have Queen City News anchor Caroline Boyer standing out there for us. Caroline, what does it look like in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, Julian, we're in a little bit of a lull right now as it comes to precipitation, but within the past hour or so, it's really been so light, I don't even know what to call it. It's not quite wet enough to be rain. It's not quite heavy enough or substantial enough to be sleet. I'm going to pick up a piece of it, though, and show you because I know a lot of people, it looks like snow. It's very hard. It's not as soft as snow is, so we've definitely been seeing that sleet coming down. I'm at the intersection. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see. I'm at the intersection of East Franklin Boulevard and Armstrong Park Road, which turns into Cox Road. There have really been a lot more cars and vehicles on the road than I was expecting, guys. A lot of people, obviously not as many people as normal. This is a very heavily traveled intersection, but there have been a lot of people coming up and down this road. It's a pretty steady stream of traffic. You can probably see the tire marks in the roads. I know my colleague, reporter Jen Cardone, was talking earlier about calling out some people for doing donuts. We did just see that a few minutes ago, so let's be smarter than that, folks. Let's keep ourselves safe. I do want to take y'all to some video that we shot earlier on the way to get here. That is from Hoffman Road, and this is pretty much the story of what we've seen in Gastonia so far. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that video, but pretty much the story of what we've seen in Gastonia is so far that there really haven't been many plowed roads that we've come across. And while the roads kind of look like they're covered in soft snow, underneath that is a layer of ice that is very, very, very slick. So it's a little bit deceiving for people. We have seen some people in this intersection with their tires spinning out. Oh, here's that video now. Us driving, we have our windshield wipers on. But yeah, you can tell those roads have just not been touched by a snow plow. So very, very fresh snow. snow and ice and sleet on the grounds. Very dangerous conditions. Again, it does look a little bit safer than it actually is, because once you get past that layer of the softer stuff, a very, very thick layer of ice underneath that. Of course, Gaston County kids are not going to be going to school tomorrow. There is a warming center that is open on North Myrtle School Road. I checked the Duke outage map just a couple minutes before I was on air. Very few power outages in Gaston County right now. Of course, that is expected to change. Our meteorologists are predicting in the next little bit that we will start to see some of those ramp up potentially. So I'll send it back to y'all for now.
Really interesting to see how many people are out on the roads, and it might seem fine until you hit kind of a downslope in the road, and it's ice and you have no control. Caroline, just seeing the cars go through that busy intersection behind you is a little surprising to see so many people who are out and about.
Well, get what they need to do and get back inside. Caroline, thank you. We'll catch up with you in just a bit. Look, we talked about some of the flights not going out at Charlotte Douglas. This is a look right here. Surprisingly, you got some on time right now.
I'm not sold, Julian.
I'm not sold either. I saw one to Montego Bay. I wouldn't mind being on that flight if it actually gets out. But that is what we're seeing right now, is a lot of cancellations. We know that American Airlines, Delta, Southwest already offering free changes for this weekend if you have a flight scheduled, but that's probably what you're dealing with. May-Kay Beeler was at the airport earlier. Morgan, she was saying, look, check in with your flight carrier to double check, because like you, I'm skeptical that anything's getting out of Charlotte Douglas right now.
Yeah, Charlotte's right up there. I'm looking at the misery map on FlightAware, and Charlotte's, right up there in the top 4 in terms of cancellations and delays today. There it is right there on your screen, as we've seen this, the radar progressively move closer and closer to our area. So, Charlotte's not the only airport that's impacted, obviously. A lot of other airports. So, you think about just the arrivals and departures aspect of it. There are a lot of travelers who are frustrated today.
That's right. Speaking of frustrated travelers, May-Kay did catch up with somebody at the airport who was essentially stranded. This is Mimi. She was trying to get home to New Jersey from Mexico. Take a listen.
Okay, so you were supposed to go to Jersey, but you ended up in Charlotte. Why are you in Charlotte?
This is way closer than Miami to get to home.
Okay. All right, so now what?
That's a good question. American Airlines, can you tell me? I'm trying to get back to Jersey. Anybody can let me know how I can get back to Jersey through Americans. Y'all not even accommodating your people.
All right, so in defense of American, and we love you, Mimi, and I feel your pain, they can't control the weather. Yeah. All right, are they giving you a hotel or vouchers? What's going on?
I'm stranded.
You're stranded? Okay. How does that make you feel?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I don't even know what I'm gonna do. Ma, if you watching right now, girl, call me, because I'm stranded right now.
Oh, man. Hopefully,
I
Mom
want to
will
call Mimi.
Right? Right.
She is just a riot. Here's the thing. No one wants to deal with what she's dealing with. It's just, we've all been there where we're stuck in the airport, and it's you're uncomfortable. You just want to get home. She ended up in Charlotte when she didn't even think she was going to be in Charlotte.
Right.
But we were watching that interview live this morning, and she has such a great attitude. If I ever end up sitting next to Mimi on a plane, I'll consider myself blessed.
Yes, 100%. We've all been stuck in the airport purgatory where you're like, am I going to be able to get home? Am I not going to be able to get home? But again, if you do have a flight out, better not to risk it. Take advantage of the free changes. That's our advice from the airlines and from our chief transportation correspondent, May-Kay Beeler, saying just go ahead, change your flight. Don't end up like Mimi, stranded in a city that you had no intentions of going to.
Yeah, we are hearing from officials today, too. So in his latest update, Governor Josh Stein continues to say that power and the roads are really the biggest concerns here in North Carolina.
Yeah, he says while there have been a limited number of incidents so far, drivers should still avoid travel if they can.
We've had 3 brief interstate closures. All of the interstates have now been reopened. The State Highway Patrol is busy clearing the roads. They have removed 339 abandoned cars. They have dealt with over 400 car crashes. Again, please stay off the roads.
And here's the thing, they are removing, and they did this before the storm, they're removing abandoned cars, and they'll continue to do that because they need the roads clear. These are photos from the Newland area in Avery County, and they just show how much ice has been building up overnight. And this morning, the viewer who shared these photos with us says about 1.5 inches of snow and 1/4 of an inch of ice has built up. He also says the roads in the area are very dangerous.
This kind of gives it, almost the illusion of a winter wonderland. Not this, so this is in Blowing Rock, where fire crews drove into the icy conditions to respond to this restaurant fire. It happened today at Bistro Roca in a staple in that area. No injuries reported there, thankfully. The roads here are covered in ice, but emergency services responded quickly to that scene. We're still working to learn the cause of that fire. Of course, we'll update you when we find out more on that.
It's heartbreaking. That restaurant's been there for a while. And take a look at this video out of Rock Hill as the conditions moved in last night. This is coming from ex-user Jesus Way, 1988. This was a scene in the very early morning hours of Sunday at historic downtown. Now, Rock Hill has seen everything from snow to sleet and freezing rain. They're getting a little bit of everything here with this winter storm.
And look, as we were talking about those conditions, and we bring in our tag team, our dynamic duo, Andrew Brightman and Ted Phaeton. Look, you guys have been saying that 1/4 inch is when you can start to talk about limbs from trees coming down. Then by the time you get to 1/2 inch of ice, that's when the power lines start coming down, guys.
Yeah, and the thing here is how fast we can get to that accumulation of ice here. The rainfall rates we've been seeing out west, Andrew, as this is pushed into northeast Georgia, the far western tip of South Carolina and North Carolina, we've seen the accumulation, the ice accretion, picking up rather quickly, already over 1/10 of an inch reported in Asheville.
In Asheville, just watching at the airport, they're at 30 degrees here, so still below freezing. They're seeing freezing rain at the airport. I've been seeing some reports, and once you get up actually into Asheville and South Asheville, they're now above freezing, so it's just rain there. But already through the first 25 minutes of the hour, through 3:25, they're at 1/1800th of an inch of freezing rain. So that's how heavy this is going to be. And again, we're still about 7 degrees colder than Asheville. Also, we got a new forecast discussion for the National Weather Service here just in the past few minutes. They're talking about very favorable conditions for not sleet, but freezing rain here across the Carolinas. As this moves through, ice accretion rates of 1/10 of an inch of an hour are possible and potentially likely as this moves through. That's what we keep talking about. This is the worst part of the storm that's going to move through here from about 4 o'clock, already moving into portions of the Central Carolinas, but through about 8 o'clock this evening. That 4-hour time frame is going to be the worst part of this storm, Ted.
Yeah, and that's what we watch, is what's happening out west, and we know the conditions here close to home. And we have the moisture, the abundant amount of which is coming down aggressively out of parts of Alabama into Georgia, Atlanta, getting that transition from rain into the freezing rain. As you notice, this moisture still comes down aggressively, but as soon as it encounters the frigid air here in the Piedmont region, it comes down as that freezing rain. So again, we look further west to see what comes in our direction. This storm has a history of leaving a line of power outages in its wake from Texas, Louisiana, through Mississippi into Tennessee, even closer to the Carolinas now. Far western tip dealing with the first hint of this freezing rain. Just shy of 1,000 customers without power for Buncombe County near Asheville. Greenville County, less than 1,000 folks without power. And then just as of the last few minutes, just shy of 1,000 folks without power for Mecklenburg County. So we have the freezing rain heading in our direction. Power outages, one of the risks that we're watching out for. Your sleet accumulation from overnight into this morning, 3/4 of an inch to 2 inches further north. The higher sleet amounts has brought down those ice totals, but we still are staring down the barrel of what could be the second round, which will ramp up the potential for those ice accumulations and the ice accretion to reach that mark that we've been watching for, whether it be the 1/4 of an inch or the 1/2 an inch, something we're watching very closely, Andrew, as we still have the brunt of this storm on our doorstep coming from the west down here into the Queen City.
Yeah, and this is going to be the most crucial part of this storm as it moves through. You're talking about the percentages of precipitation. It's going to be very, very heavy, already moving into portions here as we look to our west, as we look towards Cleveland County. Some of the heaviest sleet and likely freezing rain beginning to move in here as we speak. This is 5 o'clock, temperatures in the middle 20s. Everything is frozen. The only thing we can hope for is that maybe it's sleet versus freezing rain, but As we were just getting some information from the National Weather Service, the atmospheric environment is conducive for freezing rain, not sleet, and that's why we're so concerned here as this moves through. It gets to 6 o'clock here on your Sunday, temperatures in the upper 20s. We've got the freezing rain potentially moving through here, and that continues through about 8 o'clock this evening. Then we start to dry. Temperatures are still below freezing. It's not going anywhere, and we never really get above freezing here as we head through the overnight hours across the Carolinas, and going to be dealing with these icy conditions here, Ted, all night and right through the start of this week. What are we expecting in terms of the snow and sleet forecast overall? Some places did pick up over 2 inches of snow and sleet, even a little bit more here up in places like Jefferson, as you were talking about, Ted. And then a little bit farther off to the south and east, it's all about the freezing rain that we're so concerned with this storm system. Upwards of a ½ inch of freezing rain here is still possible with this storm as it moves through. I know many places have picked up 0.05 of an inch up to about maybe 0.15 of an inch so far, some of the higher amounts here around the Queen City. The worst part of the freezing rain impacts are going to move through. It's starting here right around 4 o'clock. As Ted was pointing out, you can already see it on radar moving closer and closer here to the Carolinas. So we're going to be following this very, very closely. Still concerned about at least scattered power outages. We're going to keep watching this very, very closely here, Ted, over the next few hours.
Yeah, and we know what comes from the sky will land on the roadways. Yep. We want folks to stay at home, but we want to get a report on how those roadways, the major highways and all that is looking. Julian, I know you're keeping an eye on traffic for us here this afternoon.
That's right. I'm right behind you guys. And I've taken away part of the weather center and named it the traffic center, at least while we're dealing with the storm right here. I'm taking you under the hood here of our system and showing you something that just popped up not too long ago. We have an accident on the right lane there blocking on I-77 southbound. That's right near W.T. Harris Boulevard. They're saying this may be cleared up in about 10 minutes. It started at 2:48. That's not all we're dealing with. I want to take you up here on 85 and show you this one as well. We have an accident with the right shoulder. It says right lane there blocked, but I just looked at NCDOT. This is the right shoulder blocked. Same timing of the accident, around 2:58 for this one, but this one won't be cleared up until about 5 p.m. is what DOT is saying. Now, I want to show you this as I kind of zoom out. We were talking about this last night on air. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to overlay the road temperatures, okay, and kind of set the scene for you guys. This is what we're dealing with. 24 degrees in parts of the area. Cornelius, we're down to 23 degrees. Concord, 23 degrees, right? So what is that going to do as I take this down here and show you this, the road conditions that we're dealing with, okay? So near these accidents, we're dealing with what looks like snow on the ground, but as you work your way down, if you're in Monroe, Wesley Chapel, you're dealing with that patchy ice. So again, this is why they're recommending to stay off the roadways if possible. As we look at some of the speeds that we're dealing with as well, let's go ahead and zoom in right near that accident up there on 85. They're going pretty slow. Normally we don't see yellows like this unless we're dealing with rush hour traffic, but because we're going so slow right now, look at that, 45 miles per hour near that accident. I've seen speeds down to about 20 miles per hour as well. Look at that, 15 miles per hour. That's right near the speedway right there, the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So pretty slow conditions. If you are out on the roadways, that is the advice, to take it slow if possible as you make your way to where you need to go. But again, the advice from a lot of people is to stay inside if possible. Again, not only is it dangerous for you to be out on the roadways, but also you want to make sure the roadways are clear. That way they can get to the accidents like the one on 77 or 85 and make sure that it's safe for first responders to get to where they need to go.
And Julian, not that anyone is necessarily using the express lanes at this point, but that crash on 77, that the right express lane is closed down as well, just kind of giving you an idea of maybe where in the road the crash is. So 2 out of those 5 lanes are closed in terms of that crash on 77. Let's talk more about transportation here. CATS officials are suspending all services today due to the winter storm and the expected impacts on Charlotte. Officials say they'll begin service again at noon tomorrow. There's a big if here, though, if there are not any setbacks. Obviously, the weather is going to determine what officials decide when it comes to the rails. Let's continue our coverage with Matt Stell, who has been in Huntersville last night and now again today.
Yeah, Matt, how are things over there now? Still has that illusion of snow, but as you were telling us last time, nothing that you can really pick up.
Yeah, exactly. It's still a lot of the same. And Julian, I'm just going to echo a lot of what you were talking about when it comes to the roads and traffic. I'll coin this term. This is all-wheel drive weather. These are all-wheel drive conditions. If you don't have a four-wheel drive vehicle, it's probably going to be pretty tough for you to navigate these roads, specifically here in Huntersville. Once again, here in Huntersville, at the intersection of Statesville Road and Holly Point Drive, not far from I-77, Usually a very busy, pretty busy intersection here, and drivers, for good reason, taking it very slow here. You see all that slush that's there in the intersection. Yeah, that's going to be there for a while. We don't expect for that to be gone anytime soon. As for the sidewalks and some of these secondary streets here in Huntersville, looks like snow. It's the mirage of snow, and it looks so beautiful, and it's a winter wonderland. You think so, but then when you try to go down to reach and grab some of this, nothing. Ice skating rink. Good luck to you. It's not happening. That's why Huntersville police posted this morning that they want folks to just stay inside. They know there are a lot of people that want to get out on the roads and see what they think is snow. Folks, this is ice. There's nothing you can do with this at all. As much as you want to come do a snow angel, yeah, you'll have some scratches on your back if you try. So that's the situation here for the most part. We caught up with some drivers here at the Quick Trip at the corner of Statesville and Holly Point. We'll hear from them in just a bit. But they were having a little, let's say, too much fun. That's a tease for later on, Morgan and Julian. But yeah, similar situation to when we talked to you a few minutes ago, right? A lot of ice, and it's not warming up for the most part here. And staying home, the best case right now. So no figure skating for me at this moment in time. Just trying to stay warm right now, and we'll let you hear from those drivers in just a bit.
I'm intrigued as to what the drivers had to say. That was quite the tease, Matt. You have us on the edges of our seats. Thanks so much. You know, as Matt mentioned, we slept here at the station because we didn't want to drive, and it's safer to be here. When I woke up this morning, I saw the white outside and thought, wait, I thought we were getting freezing rain. Did it snow? And same thing as everyone else is doing. Went outside and tried to pick it up, and it's like sand. It falls right through your fingers. So if you try to make a snowman, it's going to be a really ugly looking snowman. It's just going to be pure ice.
I will tell you guys a little bit moment of transparency. Morgan was going to go home, and I said, hey, if you make it home, let me know. That way I can possibly go out there. She made it as far as the parking lot.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea of the conditions that we were dealing with there. Again, the illusion of snow, but there's ice underneath there. And again, the best thing to do is just stay home.
Okay. As we prepare for more from this winter storm, sleet was also seen falling across the south during the early morning hours.
Yeah, Taylor Farmer was out early this morning in Greenville, South Carolina, to see how crews were trying to prepare.
Sleet, slippery roads, and cleanup was the story Sunday morning as the winter storm hit Greenville. Before the blanket of ice covered roadways, they were already slick and drivers were having trouble maintaining control. Greenville city crews were up and down Main Street and beyond, working on monitoring and salting roads, and other crews were cleaning up sidewalks before 6 a.m.
Bother me, I'm from New York, so this is where I used to as a kid. So
the blanket of ice left roads dangerous as a surprising amount of folks cruised downtown Greenville in the early morning. For Roscoe Pearson, his right of choice caught some attention.
It's beautiful out here. I'm just riding around. I went to QT, it's open. And you know, they're looking at me crazy, of course, but the city is beautiful. I just want to get some. This don't ever happen, so it just feels good to get out the house and just be out here in the city of Greenville. It's beautiful.
Some chose not to drive, but still had to work, so they walked instead, of course bundled up, admiring the beauty of the city.
It feels good. It's not bad.
Not bad. More like a rain. I think we could have drove, but
I don't want to risk it. Safety first.
We captured drone footage of the winter wonderland across Greenville as folks try to stay warm and crews remain ready to respond if needed. In downtown Greenville, I'm Taylor Farmer.
All right, we have some. This is when you work at the station. Some of the stuff that
Yes.
we get here. We'll
David
save
can't
one of
see
these
what's going on right
brownies.
now. David, we just got a tray of brownies, so we're gonna pick one for you. Do you like caramel, vanilla, or chocolate?
Save me 3. How about that? Can we do
Oh,
that?
One of each one.
Impressive.
Okay, well, for that, David, you're gonna have to stay out there a little bit
this
longer.
is a treat yourself kind of Sunday.
It is
This is a treat yourself
Diet
kind of
out
Sunday.
the window.
Well, Mother Nature, as we know, can be very fickle. I don't even need an umbrella anymore out here. It was raining hard. It was wet earlier. Now, nothing, right? Something that has been more predictable, however, is the snowplows on I-85 behind us. Just a minute ago, I saw 3 snowplows heading in the south direction, and that was after we saw 2 come about a half hour ago. So it does appear to be a regular thing, which is great news for the few drivers who are out here. I-85 behind me has been pretty slow. You can take a look, not much traffic at all. And what's been encouraging is that it almost looks like you're watching the highway in slow motion. People really are heeding those warnings. You're seeing a lot of blinkers on. You'd expect maybe to see some speed demons, right? Some daredevils who are like, I'm not going to care about this at all. I'm just going to do my thing. Like, it's a highway. I'm going to go 70. That is not the case. What we're seeing, cars are really taking it easy, going slow. I think that they know how dangerous this can be, and the more plows coming through, the better, of course. But it's still, you have to be very cautious because a lot of the roads and highways around the Charlotte metro area are, if not partially, but completely iced over. I mean, Freedom Drive earlier today was like just a sheet of white with the snow cover, and that can be dangerous. But there are things you can do if you do have to drive, of course, right? Take it slow, like these drivers we're seeing behind me. If you're on the highway, why do you need to go more than 40 miles an hour? There's no rush at all. And if you need to stop or turn, just give yourself so much extra space, right? 200 yards even, just nothing sudden with the brake pedals. Take your time, everything gradual, and if you do have to be out here, that is the way to do it. Drivers we talked to last night, today, everyone's kind of has that mindset, so that's very good to see. We're still waiting on that precipitation that's going to be coming in heavy soon, and we're going to be out here checking that out for you, getting video of it, and hopefully talking to some more drivers like Matt. I don't know if I have anything as exciting as what he had with the people he's talked to, but we're going to do our best out here and continue monitoring everything for you guys. So back to you in the studio.
Well, unlike Matt, you have negotiated yourself 3 brownies, sir, so I think you're doing a little bit better than Matt Snell right now, David.
A little competition going on today.
We'll get
I'll see you in a minute.
There you go.
Appreciate everything you're doing out there. We have an update on the frozen camera from last night.
Blowing Rock, yeah.
This is Blowing Rock. Last night, this was fully covered in ice. We couldn't even see anything here, and it was like stuck in one position. But you can see it's fully operational now.
And you can start to see a little bit of precipitation on there, so we'll kind of keep a gauge on what that camera in Blowing Rock looks like there. But as you can see, the roads, sidewalks, the gazebo right there, it seems pretty slick conditions over there in Blowing Rock, and the visibility is starting to decrease just a little bit.
Let's check in with what Julian has coined our dynamic duo.
Yes.
Meteorologist Ted Payton and
too kind.
Brightman.
The sweet man.
Yeah.
So guys, we've been talking about like this first round that we saw, and then the second round coming. Is this the start of that second wave that we're expecting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really picking up here. It's on our doorstep out west. We're starting to get the hints of how this storm is going to bear down on the Queen City in terms of the ice accumulation that we're seeing, how fast and how rapidly that glaze of ice is starting to take hold for parts of Clemson, Asheville, even upstate South Carolina towards Greenville, South Carolina. Seeing this heading right on our doorstep, Andrew, we know we've been tracking it here the last hour or so.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get into right now is some of the worst of the precipitation. The heaviest icing that we're going to see is starting to move in right now here across the Carolinas. Currently with radar, you can see there's some of the sleet and likely it's freezing rain here off to our west. And we've got some very impressive freezing rainfall rates off to our west here. We get towards Marion and Boone. Temperatures though up in Boone actually potentially above freezing. It would be just rain there. But once we get farther off to the west towards Rutherford County, very heavy sleet and freezing rain is going to be moving on in. Let me just put this in motion over the past 30 or so minutes, and you can see how rapidly this is moving in. It's already pushing into Shelby right now. It's going to be moving into Gastonia here, where our own Caroline Boyer is, in about the next, I'd say, 10 or so minutes, and then continuing to push into Charlotte. Likely, our own David Schuman's going to be experiencing that heavier freezing rain, probably, I'd say, by about 4:15 or so. So about another 20 minutes before it hits Charlotte, and it is going to come down hard and fast. I've been watching the obs over at the regional airport in Asheville. They've already picked up over a quarter inch of ice here just in the first 35 minutes of the hour or so. And watching those observations come in. Still a lot of precipitation moving in, but for us, what's going on here. This is actually the main cold front moving through. If we were able to fully erode this cold wedge that's keeping our temperatures in the low to mid 20s, we'd be talking about potential severe weather. In fact, we actually had a tornado warning earlier this afternoon down in the panhandle of Florida. This is the front moving through, but the cold air has never really left. So it's one of these fascinating situations we're going to see here with all of this icing moving in, such heavy precipitation with the frontal boundary. Watching the power outages, nothing really popping up dramatically. We did see in Henderson County some of the power outages pop up, but they've actually been doing a relatively decent job of then restoring power here. But something just to watch as we go through the next few hours. Those freezing rain chances going to be very, very high, Ted. We're going to be keeping you ahead of the storm. You're going to be showing the people at home what's going to be coming next over this next very crucial 4 hours here with this storm.
Yeah, crucial is the correct word to use, Andrew, as we have the brunt of that front that you just showed us aim right towards the Queen City, and that's going to lead to the ice accumulation that comes from it even further. So let's jump into Futurecast, see how things are shaping up and looking here as we head into the rest of the evening. 5 o'clock is where I really think the brunt of that front will be pushing through, giving us the freezing rain, giving us more of the potential for what will be the glaze of ice on those elevated surfaces. We're talking tree limbs, we're talking power lines here, and also those bridges and overpasses as we head into the evening. So the deep pink shading on your map through that I-77 corridor shows the aggressive rainfall into the already frigid and cold temperatures, which gives us the potential for that ice to accumulate and accretiate very quickly heading into your afternoon. Now, by this dinner time, we have a little bit of the rain trying to train in, but I don't really think we'll thaw out as those temperatures stay locked in the upper 20s to low 30s. And then into this evening, 10 o'clock, we'll slowly start to taper off and dry out while we stay frigid and below freezing into your Monday. So when we look ahead to what we will expect from here, your sleet that which you've already seen, anywhere from a trace to 2 inches. We get closer to that 2 to 4 inch range, and then even further, the ice potential here still could reach a 1/4 to 1/2 an inch with how fast this freezing rain will be moving in and how aggressively it will be falling. This will likely lead to what could be scattered power outages. We've already seen a number of that further out west. And what we look at when we see the ice accumulation is less than a 1/4 of an inch. Slick roadways, untreatable roads are not going to be best to be on. And again, the isolated power outages. Once you get to a 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, that's where you have the hanging tree limbs, the sagging utility lines, the dangerous roadways, and the scattered outages. And anything above 1/2 an inch really starts to cascade into multiple problems around the Carolinas. We have what's called power line galloping. When the ice freezes on the power lines, gravity pulls most of that water to the bottom of it, so it makes a bit of a teardrop or a plane wing shape. When winds start to gust, which we will see this afternoon, upwards of 25 to 30 miles per hour, that causes lift, Andrew, and that's what's going to give us the wobble or the bounce from the top to the bottom, or the galloping, and that aggressive shake is what ends up snapping some of those utility poles, which could also stress the infrastructure that we're seeing here around the Queen City.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the more fascinating things that we could see if we see the winds pick up along with this very heavy freezing rain. Again, the conditions are prime right now. Already starting to see a little bit of a pickup, but I just continue to watch the observation in Nashville because that's basically what is moving towards us. And again, through 3:45, they're over 3/10 of an inch. So it's going to be very, very heavy, and temperatures are 23 degrees. Also, something to keep in mind here, something that can also help is maybe you got temperatures of 30 and the sun's still out. You don't get as efficient of that ice buildup.
Yeah.
But we got temperatures about 23 degrees at the airport, and then also once you get past 4 o'clock, in terms of the radiation for the sun, it really isn't that much useful anymore in trying to prevent that ice buildup.
Yeah, we have that perfect setup now for the ice accretion. We'll be watching that here throughout the evening. Make sure you stay up to date. We'll have another look at your forecast coming up in just a few, guys.
While you guys are watching all of your models, we're also watching the live cameras from our reporters, including Maureen Wirtz, who is in NODA. Maureen, it wasn't too long ago. I think I saw some people on sleds near where you are.
I was going to say, Morgan, we've seen some rather discouraged sledders here in NODA. There was these little girls, they were so stinking cute, but they said they had a good time, and then someone else was like, it was too muddy, because there's really just not that much snow on the ground. It's really slick right now, too, so parents, I would not take your kids out there. This is the kind of sledding, if you do go, I don't know, we've all had that experience as a kid growing up where you end up skinning your face or something like that. So it's not great sledding weather, even though it does look rather pretty and snowy.
think we just lost Maureen's audio a little bit there. That is what happens in cold weather because batteries can go like that. Maureen, we're going to try to get your audio back in a second and check in with her in a bit. Also, something we're following, Monroe police echoing the message for people to try to stay off the roadways. They shared this image of a vehicle that completely slid off of the road and into a tree line. Officials say they're not being dramatic when they warn that the driving conditions are slick.
And authorities in western North Carolina are working to determine if an early morning death was weather-related. Buncombe County deputies responded to New Leicester Highway around 8 a.m., found a man lying dead on the side of the road. Investigators say they have not discovered any evidence of foul play at this time. They're investigating the incident to determine if the death was weather-related. Officials, again, they're urging people to just stay home and not take any chances. We want to get right back out to our reporter, Caroline Boyer, who has been covering conditions in Gastonia. Busy intersection, East Franklin Boulevard near I-85, right, Caroline?
Yes, Morgan, and things have not slowed down here, both as far as the road conditions go and as far as the precipitation goes. What we're seeing right now is really what I would consider snow that's just so light it may not even translate onto the camera. Just a very steady stream of very light snow. It's not very heavy or very wet or anything like that. I'll move out of the way and show you the road conditions. People around here, our warnings, I guess, are not making them afraid to get on the roads. People are coming through this intersection of East Franklin Boulevard and Cox Road. Some of them going a little maybe faster than they probably should be going. But I know last time what we were talking about when I checked in with y'all was that the roads around here do not appear like they have been plowed at this point, and they do look very deceiving. So I kind of want to show you. I'm going to get my photographer Marcus to pan down to my feet. This top layer right here, it looks so nice. It looks like snow. It looks really pretty. And then when you get underneath it, that's when we're getting this very slick stuff, which is exactly what is happening on these roads and is why we're encouraging a lot of people to stay off the roads if they don't have to. I did talk to one man a little bit ago. His name is Jason Stetler. Unfortunately, he had to go to work, so that's why he had to be on the road. And this was his advice to other people who don't necessarily have to be on the roads right now.
Stay home. Yeah, stay home if you can. Ride this out. I don't think it's going to thaw anytime soon, but yeah, if I didn't have to go to work, I would just be hunkered down.
Center down the street, so he was stopping here at the Circle K where I'm standing to clear off some windshield off of his ice. But again, starting to see some light snow as far as precipitation goes here, and it is just bitterly cold and plenty of traffic coming through this area right now. Morgan and Julian.
Caroline, it looks like the cars are moving through the intersection okay, but have you seen any of them, slip and slide at all or lose traction?
Yes, within the past couple of minutes, not so much, but the last time that I talked to y'all a few minutes before that, so probably about 30 minutes ago, we saw one person have a tire spin out situation. They got kind of stuck in the middle of the intersection, and you might be able to hear this person beside me. They're kind of revving their tires up. So yeah, a few people are getting stuck, but for the most part, people who are taking it slow are moving through here pretty well, Morgan.
Okay, Caroline, I appreciate that. And Julian, you're looking at a few incidents on the roads right now. What are you seeing?
Morgan, as we've been telling people to stay off the roads if possible, we had 2 new accidents literally the last time that we gave a traffic update. Let's take you down here to the Monroe Expressway. This accident right here, as we're taking a look, you can already start to see some delays build up behind it as we take a look at that right there, heading eastbound. According to DOT, this just happened not too long ago. We know that the road's closed. This is exit 270 Austin Cheney Road. If you're familiar with this area, here's the thing. They don't expect to have this cleared up until 8:45 tonight. This just happened around actually about 3 p.m. is when it first happened, but we didn't get it reported until just recently. Also want to give you another look at something else that we saw. This is not too far from where we are. And I'll show you where this is on 85. Let's take you all the way over there towards Belmont. Slide you up there, an accident just being reported. We got 2 of the left lanes right there. Left 2 lanes closed near exit 26. That's Belmont, Mount Holly Road. 2 of the left 3 lanes are closed. And DOT is saying right now for that one, we're looking at a cleanup time of 6:40. Okay, so 2 new accidents just in the time that we were on air with you between the last time I gave you a traffic report. And here's the thing, guys. Andrew and Ted were just talking about this, the conditions that are making their way towards us. As we take a look here and zoom out, they were talking about areas like Lincolnton and Cherville, Shelby areas dealing with it. Again, what they're dealing with is the ice. What it seems like we have here in the Charlotte area is snow, but by the time you get down there near that Axon Monroe Expressway, patchy ice conditions. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what drivers are experiencing. And again, the yellows and the reds that we're seeing on 485, 85, parts of the Monroe Expressway. These aren't normal conditions for Sunday at 4 o'clock, right? Normally we would see all green there, meaning that people are going speed limit pace, if not faster. We're dealing with right now pretty slow conditions on 85, 485. And again, as I give you a look right there at some of those conditions and the speeds that people are going right there, 45 near North Graham Street, it's because people are taking it slow on the roadways. That's the advice, but a lot of people either ending up in an accident, spinning out, as we saw near Caroline. So again, the advice from DOT officials, from emergency officials, stay off the roads if possible because, one, it's not safer to be out there. And again, I'm going to keep on reiterating this. You also want to leave the lanes open so that they can get to the accidents on 77, 85, Monroe Expressway. And unfortunately, Morgan, my fear is that as we get further into the night, as that second band that Andrew and Ted are tracking moves through the area, we're going to see more people, if they're out on the roadways, end up in accidents.
I think we are because, I mean, we didn't really have a lot of crashes throughout the day, and then the two on 85 have happened within the past 20 minutes. All of a sudden, we've got two of them, and they're not close to each other, so you know they're separate incidents that have happened. So, yeah, you know that people are probably getting a little stir crazy and want to head out, but the conditions are only going to get worse from here. CATS officials are suspending all services today, by the way, due to the winter storm and the expected impacts on Charlotte. Officials say they will begin service again at noon tomorrow. That could change, though. We'll, of course, update you if we hear anything from CATS officials. Obviously, if there are no setbacks whatsoever, they'll start at noon tomorrow. But if conditions continue to get worse, they'll probably push that back. Okay. We have Maureen back, by the way.
We do. This is the magic of live TV when you go wall-to-wall, no commercial breaks. A mic goes out, we fix a mic, we go back to Maureen Words in NODA. Maureen, we can hear you now. What's it like over there?
You guys, that's what the cold does. You know, it kind of changes your batteries. We had a full battery and then it died within a couple of minutes, but that's just kind of what we're experiencing out here in this cold weather. Just in the last few minutes, from even when you saw us live last, we're seeing some more moisture coming down from the sky. And this is kind of one thing that we wanted to point out to you. This is North Davidson Street behind me. There is some water on the road. Cars you kind of just saw are driving through somewhat slowly. But that as this temperature keeps dropping and gets colder, all of this is going to freeze over, and we've got a lot of ice and everything on the side roads here, and then even just this little road up to the neighborhood here, still covered in snow, still very slick. So obviously that's kind of the concern around here, but the good thing is, I don't know about you guys, this is the quietest I've ever seen NODA. There's not much going on, which is great. That means people are staying in and everything, especially as more moisture and sleet and potentially rain fall from the sky, but we'll keep an eye on it for you guys. And I don't think there'll be any more sledders. I think that's probably done for the day.
I know, that's so disappointing, right? Because the kids were looking forward to it, especially early on when the forecast said it was going to be all this snow. And now the letdown that we've got all this ice. So I think they're trying to make the most of it, right?
That is true. Look, okay, they got plenty of time. School's already canceled for tomorrow, so maybe tomorrow is an opportunity to get out there. Maureen, thank you. Let's get over to the dynamic duo tracking the latest with this second band, Ted and Andrew, standing by in the Weather Center. Gentlemen, what are we seeing right now?
Oh, yeah, we are seeing really the brunt of that front pushing into the Carolinas. Now's the time you want to be exactly where you're going to be for the rest of the evening, Andrew, because the freezing rain, the aggressive rate of which we are seeing is now moving in and knocking on our doorstep, already starting to creep into some of our western counties.
Yeah, that's right. We're already seeing some of the heavy precipitation. I think it's for the most part, you'll see our pinpoint radar trying to say that maybe it's snow. I think best case scenario, maybe it's sleet here just based on what's going on across the Carolinas. But I just want to give you, put things in perspective, how heavy this precipitation is that we're seeing here across the Carolinas. So we pull a pinpoint radar here. I'm going to jump on over to the wall and just give you guys a little bit of a breakdown what's going on. So This is what we got going on currently on Pinpoint Radar. Obviously, this is the focus right here. Continues to move closer and closer, already moving into Troyville, Lincolnton, Shelby, starting to see the precipitation rates pick up fairly quickly here. And I really want to show you some of those precipitation rates just to emphasize here. This is by far some of the heaviest precipitation that we're going to see from this storm as it moves through. You see all the yellow, the orange here. I'll just give you a little bit of perspective exactly how heavy some of it is here as it moves into the central Carolinas, Forest City off to our west. When you start to see what we call DBZ levels over 30, that's moderate to heavy precipitation, some places in excess of 35 or 40. In layman's terms, it just means heavier and heavier and heavier precipitation. By far, the heaviest wintry precipitation we have seen from this storm is moving on in. Again, some reports here from the National Weather Service in Spartanburg. They were seeing a little bit of sleet. Again, that would be good news for us. Farther off to the east here, Hickory and Lincolnton, they were seeing a lot of unknown precipitation at the regional airport in Asheville, where they were still at 30 degrees. The airport here in Charlotte is still reporting light freezing drizzle. On a macro level, we've just never been able to get rid of the cold wedge. In fact, the cold wedge has been more durable than what has been forecasted here across the Carolinas. And as it continues to move in fact, if we were able to fully get rid of this cold wedge, we'd be talking about maybe even isolated severe weather today. But since temperatures are at 23 degrees, still a small chance of a rumble of thunder just based on how heavy some of this precipitation is, but nonetheless is going to be likely heavy sleet and or freezing rain moving on in. Again, those freezing rain chances, got to deal with it through about 8 o'clock this evening, and then basically we are going to be completely done here with this storm, but we are going to see probably more in terms of sleet and or freezing rain in the next 2 to 3 hours than what we've seen for the entirety of this storm so far, Ted. That's how heavy it's been, and that's how severe some of these impacts could be if it turns out to be all freezing rain. We're just going to be watching the observations over at the airport here over the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, Andrew, is unfortunate, as they typically say, it's going to get worse before it gets better, and that's what we're seeing. You show those DBZ levels of 36, 39. Now, for folks at home, that's a rainfall rate of what could be a quarter of an inch to 3/10 of an inch in the span of an hour, and we have this system now bearing down on us, which is going to give us those impacts heading into what will be the second half of this evening. So taking a look at Futurecast, pushing the clock into 5 o'clock, just about 45 minutes from now. That is where we see the shades of that pink very, very potent here over the Queen City. And that's what gives us the rainfall rates that we just spoke about and that Andrew just showed you, which will give us the idea of the ice accretion or the accumulation of that ice happening rather quickly here around the Queen City. Pushing the clock now into 6 o'clock, still inundated by the deep pink shading, and even further looking at your 7 and 8 o'clock through dinner time. We'll start to ease up those impacts, and those temperatures still stay locked below freezing. We're talking upper 20s, low 30s in some spots, but that's unfortunate. That's anything that falls will freeze, and we'll look to have that frozen tundra stick around all the way into your early morning hours on Monday. So watching those impacts lead to the sleet that we've seen, a trace to 2 inches from the Queen City to areas north I-40 corridor, 2 to 4 inches of that sleet snow mix, and we still have the potential for what could be the quarter of an inch to half an inch of ice accumulate around the Queen City, and that's where we have some of those issues start to move in. So scattered power outages will be possible here over the next few hours. Make sure you're still prepared to deal without power. And here's why. Not just for the tree limbs that could sag at a quarter of an inch and take down the power lines, but the weight of the ice for a 50-foot stretch of power lines, about a quarter of an inch to half an inch could be anywhere from 300 to 500 pounds. Then you extend those power lines for what we have here in the Queen City, more than 150 to 200 feet. You're looking at 1,600 to 2,400 pounds added to those power lines if we get half an inch of rain, of that freezing rain. So that is what's going to even cause more of those power outages. But as Andrew mentioned before, crews doing a really good job just a few moments ago. Just less than 1,000 customers without power in Mecklenburg County. That has now since been alleviated, but there is still more of this storm to go. So we'll keep you updated and keep a close eye on it. You could do the same by staying up to date by downloading the Pinpoint Weather app for free in your App Store or Google Play. Tracks where your phone is, not where your home is, and will send alerts of watches, warnings, or any rain, freezing rain detected in your area. That will be sent straight to your phone, guys.
All right, Andrew, Ted, thank you. What we're giving you here is a side-by-side. So you're looking at the whole entire southeast region there, all the way into Texas, taking a look at all the power outages. The Charlotte area, 10 to 25,000. On the right-hand side, Morgan, we have the Duke Energy Power Map, kind of giving you a zoomed-in look at what we're dealing with here in the Charlotte Metro.
Yeah, and obviously Duke Energy is the one that provides energy to the majority of customers, right? 4.7 million customers in the Carolinas, 3.8 million of those are in North Carolina. Zooming into the Charlotte area, a few hundred people without power. It's kind of peppered throughout the region. But, you know, over in Union County, we've got about, 200 customers there who are impacted. The majority of the outages, as expected with the way this storm is kind of moving through, if we zoom all the way out, well, we're on the next map, but there are probably 20,000 in western North Carolina that are dealing with, oh, here we go, we're back.
Yeah, Sam, if you could go ahead and go down that area right there, zoom into where you just had your hand. So go down to the bottom right, okay? Go down, zoom in a little bit more, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and go up. You're gonna find that 200 there. It's like, there you see it.
Yeah, okay.
Union County right there. That's what Morgan was talking about, just the amount that they're dealing with in Union County.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, right now it's pretty good scenario in Charlotte. Only a few hundred people without power. Closer to the Asheville region, like Hendersonville, Highlands. They're dealing with like roughly 20,000 people who are without power there. But there are other providers, for electricity in the state. The one that we're looking at now is NC Electric Cooperatives. This number has gotten better. Earlier, when we showed this to you, there were roughly 9,000 customers of theirs without power. That has now gone down to roughly 7,300. So a little bit of improvement on that front.
Definitely an improvement there. And here's the thing to keep in mind. Again, the conditions may not look that bad right now. I mean, these are relatively low power outages from what we were initially forecasting for. But, and this is a big but, we have the fact that we had that second band of that weather coming through. So again, even though conditions aren't bad right now, we're only 4 p.m. here on Sunday. As we go through the night into Monday morning, we've kept on saying the numbers for you. 1/4 inch of ice that can bring down limbs and trees, right? 1/2 inch can bring down power lines there. So as we have these conditions move through the area, it could cause more power outages. Thankfully, we know that Duke has that self-healing technology, can reduce the number of customers affected by 75%. But even though things are okay right now, not saying as you go through tonight, there's not a chance that you may lose power, wake up without power tomorrow morning.
Right, and I'm looking at, there's Dominion Energy too. They're just roughly 20 people. They service a different area, mostly Virginia, but there's still a few people in the northeastern part of the state who are without power for Dominion Energy. So, I mean, yeah, we could see that. I feel like what we experience, people think is the whole storm, but really it sounds like it's kind of just the appetizer to the entree with the storm, that we could have a lot more on the back end. And of course, schools are planning for this. We've had a number of school closures in our area, and they continue to roll through ahead of the icy conditions tomorrow.
Yeah, reading them off there, you got Catawba, Iredell, Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Newton, Conover, Lincoln County right there on that one. And the list just continues. Cabarrus, Union, Mooresville, Stanley, Fort Mill Schools. The Fort Mill Schools going on e-learning tomorrow, and Morgan, more schools going on e-learning as well. Rock Hill, Alexander, Chester, and then again, as we mentioned, Charlotte, Mecklenburg, they are closed for tomorrow. But Morgan, it's not just schools that are closed as well. We have offices that aren't going to be open either.
Yeah, and if this is moving too quickly for you, you can always pause your TV, but we're also going to put them on QCnews.com. Offices and services will be shutting down for tomorrow in Mecklenburg County. That includes the DSS, Child, Family, and Adult Services, as well as Public Health, the Elections Office, and tax collectors, Waste and Recycling, as well as Parks and Recreation, and all the library locations will be shut down. No one's really taking any chances. A Child and Family Abuse Hotline will still operate 24/7, so some good news there for people who need that. Want to go back out to Shakira Speaks. She's in Midtown, and Shakira, we've heard that you might have some people hanging out with you right now.
Yeah, I got Omar and Dalinda with me. Come over here, mis amigos. They are out here. We saw them out here taking some video and taking pictures of the nice winter wonderland that we're out here. Why did you guys decide to come out today?
I'm here for the winter view.
Yeah.
And the check the lake.
Yeah,
and the snow.
I just saw you guys kind of poke a hole in the ice that's in the water.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be out in the cold today?
We're happy for the beer here.
Yeah? Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. Just like Omar was saying and Dalinda was saying that it's really cold out here, guys. It's like 20 degrees. We're at Marshall Park. Look at this. Watch this, Corey. Oh, look at that. I'm gonna throw another one just to show you guys how cold it is. It's not even breaking anything. This is very cold. I might put on my greatest Matt Stell impression and become an ice skater out here. Figure eights out here on a frozen Marshall Pond. Very cold. We can still see people sitting out in the cold, driving through the slush. It is little specks of a wintry mix, not snow, not ice, not anything, but you can't really see it on the camera right now, but it is very, very small. People are walking out. Turn over there for me, Corey. People are still walking out. You see that guy walking? People are walking. People are out here having fun. We hear geese. We don't hear a lot of birds, though. Very, very cold, guys. We'll be out here for the next hour or so, letting you guys know what the conditions are. This guy is turning in right here. They're moving very, very slow. But people are out and driving. We're asking you guys to stay off the roads as possible. That way the first responders can stay as safe as possible. Morgan, Julian, back to you guys.
Shakira, look, as much as we appreciate your willingness to do your best Matt Stella impression and go ahead and do a Michelle Kwan out there on the water, we have been told you will not be covered by workers' comp if you fall into that water. So you know what? I think the better
got a little close there for my comfort.
Little close, but Shakira, glad that there's some people.
Look.
Yeah, nope. All right, you know what?
Okay, cut her off.
I don't play no games. We don't play no games over here.
Thank you so much, Shakira. I mean, just a reminder to everyone too, right?
Yes.
And this happens. I'm from Wisconsin. It happens every year. Someone sees that there's ice, and they think that it can hold your weight.
Yeah.
And it can't. And
do that.
Yeah. Not safe to go out on the ice, but
No.
nice to look at, and appreciate Shakira for showing us that.
Speaking of things that are nice to look at here, look, this looks like a winter wonderland. Snow at Lake Norman Air Park here. It's a pretty sight. Those airplanes not going anywhere. This is just northwest of Mooresville. Pretty conditions here, and that's not the only pretty conditions that we've had, Morgan.
Yeah, we're taking a look at the town of Dallas. This is from the police department's Facebook page. Don't let the pretty sight fool you, though. Of course, as we've been talking, road conditions still dangerous out there, and as our team of meteorologists have been talking about, there is more to come. The department is reminding residents, stay safe and go to the Citizens Resource Center and at the Dallas Civic Center for warming stations if your power does go out. You can also dial 911 for any emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
In his latest update, Governor Josh Stein continues to say that power and roads are really the biggest concern here in North Carolina.
That's right. He says while there have been a limited number of incidents so far, drivers should still avoid travel if they can.
We've had 3 brief interstate closures. All of the interstates have now been reopened. The State Highway Patrol is busy clearing the roads. They have removed 339 abandoned cars. They have dealt with over 400 car crashes. Again, please stay off the roads.
And a reminder, a quarter of an inch can bring down limbs and trees.
Mm-hmm.
Half an inch of this ice can bring down power lines. And these images that we got from the Newland area in Avery County just show how much ice has been building up overnight and this morning.
Yeah, I mean, again, here's the thing. Those back roads there, those are not going to be the first ones to be cleared. And here's the thing, right? If we get to tomorrow and you still don't see that your area has been plowed, right? You don't see that there's brine on there. Don't call 911. You don't want to bog them down. What you're encouraged to do is call the non-emergency number. That's 311 there. You can report that you have a icy city sidewalk, that the road needs salting or clearing, that there's a tree down on a sidewalk or shoulder of the road. If there's a pipe leak or burst onto the street, that's when you call 311. So when you talk about those back roads, yes, you should stay off of them. But if you notice the fact that, okay, maybe the city, the county, state hasn't been there yet, call 311 and let them know they're dealing with a lot.
Well, and I was just going to say, keep in mind, these crews are working, they're pulling 12-hour shifts, and there's probably more. NCTOT has 1,600 crew members and contractors out there working. They when they pre-treated the roads, they used nearly 4 million gallons of brine across the state. SCDOT, 4,000 workers, and that department is equipped with 60,000 tons of salt, 1,200 pieces of equipment. So it's really all hands on deck to make sure that they have treated the roads as much as they can at this point, and they'll continue to do that throughout the night.
Yeah, speaking of all hands on deck, look, they're all hands on deck over at Charlotte Douglas as well, trying to get planes up. But here's the reality. Look at cancellations. San Antonio, Atlanta, Manchester, Los Angeles. That one has landed coming in from the West Coast, but look at these delays right here. And this is just looking at this afternoon. I haven't taken a look yet at tomorrow, but you know what, Morgan, I'm going to go ahead and bet on it. Sam,
we probably could.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam. Look at tomorrow's flights as well.
Sam is our producer who's making everything pop up on the screen here.
Already some cancellations. So I think it's better to heed the advice of people like our Chief Transportation Correspondent, May Beeler, to take advantage of the fact that American, Southwest, United, Delta, they're offering you these free changes so you can go ahead and change your flight. If you're scheduled to fly out over the next couple of days, you're probably safe than sorry there. And I mean, otherwise you get caught in that, Morgan, the misery map.
Yeah, well, and taking a look at it right now, it's hard to see from where I am, but it looks like Charlotte is second place. It's been, we've been kind of flirting with second, and we've been in fourth. This is a competition. Obviously, we don't want to win here. Looks like what is that, 150 delays and cancellations. So, this is just the story of the day, obviously. May Beeler, she's our Chief Transportation Correspondent, but she's also a very experienced pilot. So she has dealt with this time and time again as a pilot. She had the unfortunate task of going to the airport today and talking with some of the passengers who are caught up in all this weather. And she spoke to one passenger, Mimi, who was trying to get home to New Jersey from Mexico and ended up here in the Queen City.
Okay, so you were supposed to go to Jersey, but you ended up in Charlotte. Why are you in Charlotte?
This is way closer than Miami to get to home.
Okay. All right, so now what?
That's a good question. American Airlines, can you tell me? I'm trying to get back to Jersey. Anybody can let me know how I can get back to Jersey through Americans. Y'all not even accommodating your people.
All right, so in defense of American, and we love you, Mimi, and I feel your pain, they can't control the weather. Yeah. All right, are they giving you a hotel or vouchers? What's going on?
I'm stranded.
You're stranded? Okay. How does that make you feel?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I don't even know what I'm gonna do. Ma, if you watching right now, girl, call me, because I'm stranded right now.
I love that. I love that, Morgan.
I love that May said, hey, they don't control the weather,
in their defense,
which is true, but I don't think she convinced Mimi very much.
No.
She was like, I'm still here.
I do feel for Mimi, too. Like, Morgan, one moment you're on the beaches in Mexico, and then next you're back here in Charlotte when you're supposed to be in New Jersey. You're not home, don't know when you're going to get home. You're stuck in that misery.
Such a harsh reality that the vacation is over, right? You've enjoyed the beach, and then you're like, okay, now I'm stuck. And I've totally been there coming back from a vacation, and it's just rotten. As our coverage continues of this winter storm, we do want to remind you, I know some people are probably tuning in, getting excited to watch the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Seahawks.
Yes.
That's at 6:30. You're not going to miss any of the action. We're just going to continue to update you on the weather and the conditions out there, and then once that coverage starts, we'll of course get you to your football. You can continue to watch our updates on QCnews.com.
Yep.
We have the Queen City News Plus streaming app. We've got our, what else do we have here? We have the weather app that people can keep up. So even if you lose power and you're watching on TV now, there are other ways that you can connect with us and keep informed.
And you know what? While we're talking about apps, Morgan, look, I understand everybody nowadays has a weather app, right? Telling you what the conditions are. But your app is not going to do nearly as good of a job as...
We've proved it this time
We have proved it. That... Here we go. This is the best app you can get is Ted Faden and Andrew Brightman in the Pinpoint Weather Center actually tracking the conditions live.
Julian, the check will be in the mail.
Exactly, right?
I appreciate it.
listen, we are tracking the brunt of this storm, which I expect was going to deteriorate conditions rather quickly here over the next 30 to 45 minutes, Andrew, as the aggressive, heavy, freezing rain has already impacted parts of upstate South Carolina. We're getting those reports, and even the pictures that we're seeing in National Weather Service chat just shows us what's on our doorstep and what we can likely see transition here over the next hour to an hour and a half.
I would say between now and, by the time this band moves through, just based on what I saw, the observation at the Asheville Regional Airport, up to about maybe 0.4 of an inch of ice. That is what's possible here across the Carolinas. I went outside here to Queen City News Studios to do, the classic weather meteorologist thing. Go outside and look what's happening outside. And we have freezing rain right now here in Charlotte. That's what I wanted to get an idea. Was it sleet? Was it freezing rain? I saw a couple of sleet pellets, but right now, mainly here at our Queen City News Studios just outside of West Charlotte, we are seeing some freezing rain here.
Absolutely, and that's why you hear Julian and Morgan, they were saying, your apps, download the Pinpoint Weather app, whether it's the iPad, now's the time you want to have those devices charged up, because we could be just a few hours away from the potential of losing power here as we keep an eye on radar. And the blue you see is more of that sleet mixing in with the freezing rain, and that's starting to approach that I-77 corridor and bear down here on the western fringe of our area, giving us the potential for that ice accretion, which will rapidly intensify. So let's take you here through the last 1 hour and see exactly how things have shaped up. Let me back up, get you to radar and play the last hour for you in terms of how we've seen that freezing rain move in. A little bit of a closer look west of I-77, Belmont, Mount Holly, and even outside of our studios here in West Charlotte, getting the freezing rain out of upstate South Carolina from Cherryville into Lincolnton, Highway 321. Impassable with the amount of pink that we're seeing in the ice that's continuing to now start to glaze over parts of the Queen City and taking you even further towards Huntersville, Cornelius, Mooresville. We're going to see the brunt of that freezing rain move in from I-77 south, heading into more of uptown. So we have the impacts that we're watching. Again, that warm air pushing further north, riding on top of the frigid conditions in that cold air from that high pressure to our north, dipping south and getting trapped in the Piedmont on the eastern side of those Appalachian Mountains, and that warm Gulf moisture rides on top, dumping all that moisture into the frigid conditions, which will freeze on contact, giving us that glaze of ice around the Queen City. That's going to lead to the potential for power outages. Your roads already destroyed and unpassable. The red is the icy patches and the icy roadways. Major thoroughfares looking at I-85, Highway 321, 45 inner and outer, and I-77, all dealing with just straight ice. The ice patches in the pink, the sleet, and even the drifts up through I-40 and into our mountain counties. So it's looking terrible on the roads. And this will continue that ice storm warning that's in effect until your Monday morning, with the winter storm warnings even further. So now is the time where we're going to deal with the brunt of this storm, the arrival of that freezing rain lingering into your dinner time and beyond. Andrew, as we head into your evening hours, I expect the ice accretion to pick up. And that's what's going to lead to those power outages that folks will have to deal with here through the evening. So hopefully they've been prepared, not letting their guard down through the lull midday, because now is what we're looking at for the brunt and that secondary punch we've been talking about all throughout the week.
Yeah, that's right, Ted. And that's what we're really concerned about here is the worst part of this storm that's going to be moving through right now. Just want to take you through here future cast, because it's all about what's happening over the next 3 hours. That's the entirety of what's left of this storm to move through. But this is the most intense part of the storm that's going to be moving through here across the Carolinas. We get future cast in motion. This is 5 o'clock here on your Sunday night. You see the heaviest of it moving through across the Carolinas. And then by the time we get to about maybe 8 o'clock, that's when for the most part it's going to be gone. It's going to be heavy, either sleet or freezing rain here for about the next 2 hours, 2.5 hours across the Queen City, and then it will start to move out. Temperatures don't get above freezing. Get up to maybe 30 or so degrees here in Charlotte, but for the most part holding steady as we go through the overnight, and then we see our weather conditions really begin to improve here as we go throughout your Monday. Just not warming up all that much though. How much more sleet could we see? Maybe a few hundredths of an inch. This is being forecasted right now up in Concord and Salisbury. But what I want to just take your attention to here is the additional. This is on top of what we have already seen here. There are some places that could pick up over a 1/4 inch, but generally an additional 1/10 to 1/4 inch of freezing rain. You see places like Chirac could see over 1/4 of an inch. This is what we're concerned about as this band moves through. And we're going to keep monitoring those various observations here across the Carolinas as we go through the next few hours. So in terms of general totals that we'll see here across the region, still expecting maybe that 2 to 4 inches of snow and sleet, less sleet here in around Charlotte, obviously, and still expect by the time it's all said and done, most of the region to pick up over 1/4 inch of freezing rain. And that, of course, brings us to the concern for the power outages here as we go through the next few hours. Let's send it over back to Morgan and Julian.
All right, Andrew, thank you. And as you were just talking about, that sleet and snow continuing to fall in the Piedmont Triad.
Yeah, reporter Shannon Smith is in Greensboro, where crews are monitoring the slick roads.
I'm Shannon Smith in Greensboro, North Carolina, where the winter storm has arrived. Overnight, several inches of snow fell in this part of Guilford County. Now, sleet is continuing to fall, heavy at times, with a wind chill down into the teens. The real fear is freezing rain falling here, causing trees and power lines to come down. So far in this part of North Carolina, that has not happened. There have been very few power outages, and people are crossing their fingers that the sleet will stick around and no freezing rain will fall to bring down those trees or power lines. Most people staying off the roads, they are covered in ice, so they're staying home and staying safe at this point, and that has been the message from officials to get ready for today, and today be the place and the time to stay home. In Greensboro, North Carolina, Shannon Smith, now back to you.
Kind of similar conditions to what we're seeing here. We want to get out to Matt Stell, who is in Huntersville. Matt, I hate to say it, you look pretty chilly out there.
You got that right, Morgan. Absolutely. The sleet is coming down. It's actually starting to slide into the back of my jacket a bit. Got me doing the Macarena here. This is the hardest since we felt the sleet so far here in Huntersville. Something that's interesting that we hadn't seen in the hours that we've been out here at the intersection of Statesville Road is snowplows. We saw 2 snowplows come through this area, right through this intersection, and try to make a difference here that they can. Drivers are taking it very slow, as they should, because the conditions are worsening here in Huntersville, just off of Interstate 77. Now, earlier, I teased something with you, Morgan and Julian, that we had talked with a driver who was pulling into this quick trip right here at the intersection. Well, he was in a very nice Jeep Wrangler, 4-wheel drive, high top, and he was taking a left into this intersection here. Well, when he got to this corner right here, let's just say things got a little slick. But he didn't overcorrect, but he corrected just in time. And I thought that was pretty impressive. So as soon as he pulled into the gas station, I jogged to him and wanted to catch up with him. Here's what he had to say.
You took that turn pretty well. Most people would not.
Yeah.
You're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
You just slam the gas and go. Counter steering is the key.
How's been the roads out there? How have the roads been?
They're good. They're slippy. They're fun.
Yeah.
Don't do it if you don't know what you're doing.
You told me that you are from up north, so you're used to this, right?
Oh yeah, this is nothing. Especially for that thing.
Compared to drivers here in North Carolina who are not used to that.
Yeah, stay home.
Okay, I was going to ask.
the road for me.
I was going to ask, what's your advice?
I mean, if you're sliding, counter steer, don't hit the gas, let it grab again, and it'll come right back for you. Just don't panic.
Where are you heading, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, we were just doing donuts in the parking lot. What do you mean? No, we're just hanging out.
Okay.
Trying to have fun while we can.
From Huntersville, from Charlotte? Where are you from?
Huntersville.
So, yeah, a bit of cabin fever, I guess. Donuts probably not the greatest idea in these types of conditions, but hey, I just hope he's being safe out there. But here in Huntersville, at this moment in time, especially you can pass this message along to Ted and Andrew, yeah, sleet is coming down. This is the hardest that we've seen it here in North Mecklenburg County. So we'll keep you updated on the conditions out here. Morgan?
And I think what the guy you interviewed meant to say was he was doing donuts in a privately owned parking lot, right, Matt?
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah, whatever cover we can give to him, absolutely.
It was his parking lot, so that makes it okay. All right, Matt,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah,
We'll be sure to
exactly.
let Andrew and Ted know about those conditions that you're seeing out there as well. Unfortunately, we are seeing new video of a crash on I-85 in Gaston County. We were talking about this not too long ago, and Julian is working on the traffic maps that we'll show you in just a little bit. It has shut down all southbound lanes, and this is what we're dealing with here. You can see that a semi-truck rolled over near the exit to Gastonia and Highway 279. That's kind of on the way to 321. According to state transportation officials, that stretch of I-85 will be closed until 5 o'clock tonight. You could see in one of the previous shots that a couple of drivers were stuck there waiting for crews to clear the area, and traffic is at a snarl in that area. But Julian, you have the traffic map pulled up. What are you seeing in terms of movement in that area? I'm assuming not very much at all.
So we got a kind of a twofer right here, Morgan. So right where that is, 321, we're taking a look. We're going to push into that area right there. They don't have the accident icon open yet, but what I'm seeing on the NCDOT is that stretch right here on near 321 before North Marietta Street, that exit. That area is the area that's closed here. Now, you're probably wondering, why are we not seeing the purples and the reds on 321? That's just taking a look at some of the speeds that we're seeing on the roadway. And the good thing is there's not that many people out there, so these aren't the truest speeds. You can tell people are going slow, but also from that earlier accident, you can see that we're pretty slow there once you get past 7 right there, State Highway 7, moving your way in towards 485 and closer to Belmont. You have several accidents that we're dealing with, unfortunately, as you get into McAdenville. Another accident there that we're dealing with. And honestly, Morgan, that's unfortunately just the tip of the iceberg. We've seen other ones start. We had that one down there near Monroe on the Monroe Expressway. We had one up here in 85 near Concord. We had one on 77 not too far from Cornelius. We're dealing with these accidents here as we take a look. And then here's the thing. We have a broken down vehicle, Billy Graham Parkway, heading southbound there near Scott Futrell. What we've been told is that NCDOT, they're not going to let the car stay there as they normally would. They're going to go ahead and tow those because they need those roadways clear so that way they can get to where they need to go, put down the brine on the roadways. But when we're talking about that brine on the roadways, Andrew and Ted have been talking about it nonstop. We have too. It's not going to work underneath that 18 degree area, and we're already starting to drop down in terms of our road temperatures, 23 degrees, 24 degrees. And as we take a look at the road conditions that we're dealing with here, look at that ice all through there. As you wake your way up to Cornelius, you got patchy ice there. So this, if you're looking at it, unfortunately, the guy that Matt was talking to, he said he's a pro dealing with these type of conditions. Morgan, I don't care what type of vehicle you have. You can have 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, 18-wheel drive. If you're driving on ice, your tires are not going to get any traction. So something to keep in mind right there. If you don't need to head out, if you've already had enough bread and milk to make your milk sandwiches, don't head out to the grocery store. Stay at home. We have you covered here. It's better off inside. Make yourself a nice hot cocoa. Maybe an adult beverage. Stay inside because the roadways, unfortunately, just really aren't safe.
Yeah, adult beverage, you know, I chatted with some people ahead of the storm. And they said, yeah, we got all the essentials. Went to the liquor store today. So, you know, a lot of people, especially if they've got the kids, are like, they're driving me crazy. So, yeah, everyone is handling it the best that they can. Want to go out to Caroline Boyer, who is in Gastonia. Caroline, up in Huntersville, Matt Stell said that he was feeling some of that sleet hitting his back. What are you experiencing in Gastonia?
Morgan, it is definitely coming down heavier, and I do want to give a quick shout out to meteorologist Andrew Brightman because he texted me just a few minutes ago and said it's about to start coming down, and sure enough, he was right. It is coming down. It is bouncing off the jacket. It's making that kind of ping pong effect like our meteorologists have been talking about with sleet, just kind of bouncing off of everything, and it almost kind of stings your face when it's hitting you. So definitely starting to come down very heavily now for the past several minutes. We're expecting that to continue. I know we've been talking a lot about people staying off the roads. Some people, unfortunately, didn't have that luxury today because they had to work. I'm going to bring in my friend Kaylin Rogers, and he works at the tire and brake store that is right across the way from here. You're telling me you only had one customer so far today?
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me, what did they need?
They just came in for a flat repair. We plugged it up for them. Daddy back on the road doing Uber.
Oh my goodness, an Uber in this weather. Goodness gracious. Okay, well, based on where your business is located, y'all kind of have a front row window seat to see what's been going on this road. So talk to me about what you've been seeing as far as drivers go around here.
So, as we've been seeing this hill that they keep coming up on, you have to make sure you keep a good, decent amount of speed going up this, because if you don't, your back tires, if you don't have four-wheel drive, you will start to not catch traction. So make sure you're safe, you're good, and you're being classy while you're out here.
Yeah, and we have seen that a couple of times since we've been out here as people get to the middle of this. This is the intersection of East Franklin Boulevard and Cox Road. As people get to the middle of the intersection, their tires start spinning out. They get a little bit stuck out there. Kaylin, are you worried about getting home tonight?
Kind of, sort of. I drive a Mustang, so it's not really the best thing to drive right now, but I'll make sure I make it home good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we hope you stay safe, and thank you so much for your help. Appreciate it.
It's no problem.
So yeah, guys, it is coming down pretty good out here. We've got that sleet, that ping pong effect that we have been talking about. We'll keep you updated as the conditions change and worsen and that kind of thing. Morgan and Julian.
Caroline, did Kaylin say that he is currently driving Uber, or did he mention that he's an Uber driver? Is that what I heard?
He said that they've only had the one customer today, and that customer was coming in to get their flat tire fixed because that person is an Uber driver. And so they were going to go on the road and start Ubering now that they got the tire fixed.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess the surge rates must be pretty high.
I would say so.
Don't want to drive, and
no doubt
need
about
the help
that.
there. Wait, we got something going on behind you, Caroline. It looks like
those are the
I'm
pickers
looking
going
at
out
the
there.
big TV that we've got here.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a couple of big, they look like power trucks that just came through. They have a lot of equipment on them, and they were kind of honking, I guess, to get through the intersection. It was two of them. It looked like power trucks to me.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. But it looked like it had the big equipment that kind of
I think you're spot on, Caroline.
they can put up and get up to the poles.
Yep. No, again, Caroline Boyer out there for us in Gastonia. Caroline, thank you. I think your friend may be dealing with calling an Uber himself with the Mustang in these conditions.
Probably not advised. Hey, Andrew, you got a pretty good shout out there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate it, because it's just something I was watching, because people are waiting for the, hey, when's the heavier stuff going to get here? And I was texting Caroline, like, you got about 5 minutes, it's going to start to really come down. But one of the good things, at least so far, Ted, is that we're getting a lot of reports of sleet versus freezing rain, because temperatures have stayed so cold. We're still around 23, 24 at the airport right now.
This cold air holding the line,
it's
really,
impressive,
as this moist, warm air out of the Gulf has rolled on top of it, and that's been working in our favor for the most part, giving us more of the sleet experience as opposed to the freezing rain. But the aggressive downpours and the aggressive rainfall could pull in some more of that moisture and that warmth, which could transition things here. So we're gonna have to watch that temperature profile.
It's going to be watching it very, very closely. It's just so interesting, because this is actually a cold front moving through, but the cold wedge that we have has been so intense and so powerful that not only is it still frozen, but we still actually have sleet here in Charlotte versus the freezing rain. It'd be interesting to see National Weather Service in Greenville, Spartanburg, at their offices. They've been reporting freezing rain, but their temperature's at 29 degrees. They're a few degrees warmer than here.
Yes.
We're still at 25. Again, you got what we call a temperature inversion. Temperature rises as you go up in the atmosphere. We don't have a sharp enough inversion yet because of how cold the temperatures are, but it's just impressive. One of the more impressive things I've seen here with the front coming through, where if it was warm enough, Ted, if we had truly eroded the cold wedge, we'd be talking about maybe isolated severe weather this afternoon. But instead, we've got this strange situation. We have a cold front coming through, but with the cold wedge already in place, we got sleet and freezing rain.
Yeah, that sleet and freezing rain rolling through. We just spoke to Caroline out in Gastonia. Here's a live look from the sky of what it looks like, that camera encased in ice. So we still have the potential for those conditions to deteriorate rather quickly here as we still look at the impacts from that freezing rain and that sleet rolling through aggressively heading into the Carolinas. I want to switch over to radar and show you exactly how things are panning out in terms of the approaching freezing rain and the worst of it heading in our direction. I-77 corridor seeing more of those impacts. I'm going to see if we can put the clock into motion for you. If Andrew, you want to give me a little bit of an alley-oop with that hand tracker so I could turn things on and put that clock into motion. Andrew getting all the shout-outs today as he's got the whole team on his back with more of that freezing rain moving into the Plain City. We have I-85 and of I-77 getting the hint of the pink. We even heard a little bit of that over our studios. Meteorologist Brandon Lawson also coming coming in with the report talking about the heavy sleet that was just here outside of our studios, now pushing east. So it's all about that cold air in place. The blue that you see on your map is more likely the sleet than the freezing rain, but does not mean we're out of the woods yet for the accumulating in the ice accretion that picks up as this warm, moist air still rolls on top of the frigid conditions here across the Piedmont. So we have the cold air from that high pressure to our north, locked in on the eastern side of those Appalachian Mountains, sitting here nice and strong, holding the line with this warm air rolling on top of it, really for over 24 hours now, continuing to give us more of the sleet impacts as opposed to the freezing rain. But that doesn't mean we won't have those icy conditions as we take a look at your road conditions. Red stretching from 485 inner and outer, I-77, I-85, all dealing with those icy conditions and more of the snow drifts or the sleet drifts up through the I-40 corridor into Hickory. So the roads impassable, deteriorated. We have that ice storm warning continuing into your Monday morning. This is what we've been talking about with the brunt of the storm now giving us that secondary punch or the main course. As Morgan and Julian were mentioning, the appetizer was yesterday into this morning, and that main course now arriving here through dinner time for your Sunday before tapering off heading into this evening. But Andrew, as we head into the evening, as we've seen out to our west, yes, it's sleet right now, and that cold air very much staying strong and holding the line, but just a few more degrees and we could deteriorate rather quickly here in the Queen City.
Very, very quickly. We're very fortunate right now that temperatures have remained as cold as they have been, Ted. Still at 23, 24 here in Charlotte. This cold wedge has been so stubborn, even up at least enough up into the atmosphere here where those raindrops have been able to refreeze into sleet pellets. Still think at some point here we're going to be dealing with the freezing rain. Future cast as we go throughout this afternoon, heading into this evening, we are still going to see heavy precipitation here in Charlotte until probably I'd say 6:30 to 6:45. So roughly the next 2 or so hours, and then it's going to start to taper off. And then we're going to clear out, and that's going to be all about clearing out here all of the ice and for some here a little bit of snow across the Carolinas. But one thing that has been very impressive with this cold wedge, and I think meteorologist Brandon Lawson's talking about, a native here to the Charlotte region, is that it can really impress you how long this low-level cold air can hold on. We got down to 18 degrees as we were going through the early morning hours, and we're only up to 23 right now, even with all this warm air trying to move on in. Let's send it back over to Morgan and Julian.
All right, thanks, guys. We have Jen Goodwin. She's the communications officer for NCDOT joining us now to kind of give us the very latest on everything that's going on. Jen, we so appreciate you taking the time. I know that it's been all hands on deck on your end. Your crew's been busy. You've been busy. Everyone's exhausted at this point. So if you would, please just give us kind of an update on where things stand with your crew.
Yes, we've been working around the clock since, well, pretty much since yesterday. We pre-treated on Thursday all of our bare pavement roadways with brine solution, which is water and 23% salt. And we've got just about all that covered, 1,100 plus lane miles in Mecklenburg, Cabarrus, and Union counties. And then we started bringing everybody in yesterday, probably around 2 o'clock. We started bringing them in a little bit later since the storm system lagged a little bit in its arrival. And they are working, rotating 12-hour shifts until we get this whole thing cleared up. And so now we are shifting gears to our de-icing operations. And so now we are working on putting more salt out on the road. So we've already put out about another 3,000 tons of salt in our 5-county region and another almost 45,000 gallons of brine, in addition to what we had already put out before the storm, which I think was close to 183,000 gallons of brine. So that's still a good bit, but we are still good on supplies if anyone is concerned about, our resources and where they stand. But right now we're actually doing a little bit of plowing. If you're up in the northern part of the county on I-77, heading up towards the Davidson area or the northern part of the express lanes, we've already got some contract crews up there doing some plowing, and we're trying to get the salt to mix in and activate and do some melting and hopefully get a little plowing before the end of the day, before temperatures start to go down again, because things are going to start to freeze up again overnight. And then we have the concern of black ice in the morning. And then we will pretty much start the process all over again tomorrow and see the temperatures go up, hopefully again in our favor, where we can plow again some more and hopefully make more progress. But we know this is going to be a multi-day response where we see a little bit of pushing and a little bit of freezing and back and forth until we can get everything cleared. So we're prepared for the whole duration. We know it's just going to take a while.
Jenna, I'm curious, because we ended up getting a little more dry conditions, the timing of the event moved back yesterday into this morning. Did that help you guys get down the brine? Was that making things more effective for you guys, or did it all kind of wash away today as we started to see the precipitation, the sleet, the ice come down?
It does help some. We actually had to go back out and resalt some areas twice. And the reason for that is just because everything was kind of packed and we wanted to start to see things get a little slushier so we could start to push it with some plows. And that's why we had to reapply it a couple of times to start to see it activate and do what it's intended to do. I will say, though, that even our secretary was interviewed early this morning before 5 a.m. on CNN, and he did say that sometimes, despite our best efforts, sometimes there is nothing we can do because it's just too cold and we have to wait for temperatures to warm up. And that's sometimes the challenge we're presented with. And what we're doing right now is trying to get at least one travel lane open on our highways and continue to make progress as temperatures warm up and we can get things pushed. And if people ask a lot about how will I know when my road is clear, we work on interstates first because they carry the most volume and connect to major areas. And then we work to primary roads, which are like 4-lane roads that are divided, 2 lanes in each direction. And then we work our way to high volume secondary roads. And then we work to the back roads that are kind of like out in the county that connect maybe from your neighborhood to a main road. And then we actually have some subdivision streets on our bare pavement system, but those are towards the end of our list. So if you're in your neighborhood wondering when we're going to get to you, that's probably going to be a little later on.
And I know that you guys have roughly 1,600 workers and contractors who are, busy this weekend taking care of the roads, Jen. You also have chainsaw crews that are on standby. Have any of them been deployed to any areas where there are downed limbs or trees? Have you seen any of that happening so far?
In this area, no, not really. We haven't had, at least this morning when we had a check-in with our crews, we didn't have any calls for downed trees. We do have contractors that do cut and shove work, which is just like it sounds. They'll cut down the tree and use chainsaws to get it into smaller, manageable pieces, and they just shove it to the side of the road to get the road open, and then come back and retrieve the limbs at a later date. And we've also been coordinating with Duke Power and all the other local utility providers to make sure that they have all of our contact information and make sure that they have access to any areas where trees might be tied up in power lines, because until they do what they have to do, we can't do what we have to do. We don't touch any live power lines. Mm-hmm. So far, so good. We haven't had any trouble with that. Other parts of the state, I think, probably have seen those issues, but fortunately, we have not here.
Jen, my question for you is, I feel like a lot of people got maybe a false sense of confidence because we didn't get as much of what we were anticipating in the area. And they may think, okay, it's safe for me to go out on the roadways. We've seen NCDOT, they put down the brine. I'm okay to go out. Jen, if you can once again remind people, this is nothing to play with.
No, it's not. And if you missed the governor's briefing earlier today, he did say there have been in excess of 400 crashes across the state today. So no, it is not safe to go out. We've already seen plenty of crashes in our area today too. I think there's still one working right now on I-85 in Gastonia, where the road is completely closed going north. We had one on the Monroe Expressway a little while ago. We had another on 77 just outside of Uptown. And it's just not conducive for conditions. If you are an essential worker and you have to report to work, that's understandable and that can't be avoided. And so we certainly want you to be careful and traverse on roads that have been treated and on main roads you stick to if you can. But if you're looking just for something to do and you're bored and you just want to go out, no. We want you to stay at home and stay off the roads because it is just not advisable. It is dangerous and it is not safe.
You must have been watching Queen City News because we had a couple of people who were talking about doing donuts and parking lots and maybe not doing the safest activities out there while your crews are, working on the weekend like we are, trying to keep people safe on your end. We just heard from Medic the number of crashes just that they've responded to are up to 22 in our area, just kind of giving you that hyper local idea of what's going on. Jen, what do the next few hours look like as this second wave of this storm comes through for your crew members?
So we're going to continue to plow as much as we can until we can't go any further for the rest of the day. Some of our guys are probably getting ready to rotate off in a couple of hours, and then we bring in some more folks who work a fresh 12-hour shift into the overnight. So we also have contractors. I mean, we already have, I think, over 100 contractors that are driving over 140 contract trucks. I got to mention them too, because we have so much ground to cover. We have 77, 85, 485, 277, Independence Boulevard, plus the Monroe Expressway. We have 85 in Cabarrus County to cover as well. So we're going to be continuing to put out salt as much as we can and continue to treat as much as we can. So that's why we want people to stay home and stay off the roads, so we have plenty of room to do what we have to. If there are crashes or incidents that, obviously block roads, take up travel lanes, then we're not able to do what we have to. And then we're putting ourselves and putting others at risk too by more vehicles being out there.
All right, Jen, I do have one final question for you. It's going to be the hardest question you have to answer. You mentioned to Morgan that you want to go watch football. Who are you pulling for in the playoffs real quick?
We got Rams and Seahawks.
Pulling for Denver because I can't stand New England, and also pulling for, I would pull for Matt Stafford today. Not really a Seahawks fan, but I'm a Giants fan, really. So.
Okay. Not Sam Darnold, huh? Journeyman. We got, Jets, Panthers, Vikings.
I'm going to go for I'm going to go old school Matt Stafford.
All right. We'll take it. We'll accept it. And we so appreciate your time, Jen. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So, obviously, conditions are different across the state. So let's take a look at the conditions in Winston-Salem in the central part of the state.
That's right. Justin Lundy tells us about an area that usually sees its fair share of problems, even without snow.
The freezing rain is coming down at the moment, and conditions are becoming more slick by the second. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see this intersection behind me. This is Chatillon Drive and Summerfield Lane. This curve is pretty much traditionally known to have a lot of spin outs over here. Nobody has spun out so far, but on the way from our studio in High Point to Winston-Salem, we saw a lot of cars with their hazard lights on, driving very slow, and some even sought out on the side of Interstate 40. Now, what I can tell you is that the freezing rain coming down has become a little bit more compact as it's mixing in with the sleet and the snow on the ground that you can see right here. But thankfully, nobody's gotten to any crashes over here. But what I can tell you is that if you plan on driving, Winston-Salem police tell me that there hasn't been any collisions or anything since 3 a.m. this morning. Winston-Salem Fire Department says that they have not had any fires today. They had one yesterday, but it was not weather related. And lastly, maintenance crews tell me that snowplow trucks and salt trucks are going to be right behind the snowplow trucks, and in case they're just to treat any of the main roads and the interstates as well. Now, if there's any power outages as the freezing rain continues to come down right now, Duke Energy crews say that you can call a number, and that number is 800 power on. I repeat, 800 power on, and you can report a power outage in your area. But if you don't have to be on the road, just remember that you can simply stay at home. But if you have to be on the road, just remember to avoid getting in the way of any emergency crews, which include snowplow drivers and tow truck drivers as well, and simply take your time and put on your hazards.
All right, let's head back out to NODA, where Maureen Wirtz is standing by.
That's right. Maureen, how you doing over there? What's it look like?
All right, guys. So just in the last probably, 10 minutes or so, this has completely changed. We're hearing the sleet, so I'm going to turn just a little bit. I want you guys to hear. That is the sound of the sleet coming down here in NODA. And we did a little experiment. It's not super scientific, but I do want to show you. So we set this cookie sheet out for 7 minutes. In just 7 minutes, all of this ice has collected on there. You can see it's definitely coated, and it's even obviously on the bottom. And we're talking about ice accumulation here. So a pencil is about 1/4 of an inch thick, right? So that is how much ice has already happened in the last 7 minutes here in NODA, and that 1/4 of an inch is where we're really starting to think about power outages. And we know that this is kind of what's going to be sticking around for the next hour or so. And we're seeing some cars here, but just in this intersection behind me, we have seen cars struggle to get up there. And that is completely different than 30 minutes ago. So it's definitely a little more dangerous out here. Please stay home. This is no joke. We're not even trying to venture out that far just because of how slick it is. And again, if you listen, that's the sound of sleet, that little pitter patter. So that's better than the rain, but it's still an icy mess out here. So definitely conditions have changed rapidly in the last 30 minutes, and stay inside if you can.
All right, Maureen, thanks so much. Definitely not making any cookies on that cookie sheet, but
No.
it just puts into perspective the amount of freezing rain that's coming down that they're dealing with there in NODA. Let's bring in Ted Phaeton and Andrew Brightman. Guys, It looks like everyone, all of our reporters are kind of experiencing the same thing as these deteriorating conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. And now what we will say is the stubborn cold air has given us more of that sleet yet again than the freezing rain. Still seeing if that's going to transition at any point in time, but we're thankful to see more of that sleet combination. That cold air locked in place, just stubbornly holding its line all morning and all afternoon long now.
It truly has been impressive, Ted. I mean, we were talking about maybe Thursday and Friday we could see maybe a change of rain here at the tail end. We're not changing to rain. We're not even changing over to freezing rain, but as our reporters out in the field have been experiencing, it is pouring sleet right now. It is very, very impressive just how heavy this precipitation is. As expected, the worst part of the storm is moving through right now, but in a sense, we're lucky now. It stayed cold enough that we have sleet, and the more time that goes by, everyone at home, that we don't see a transition over to freezing rain, that power outage threat is getting lower and lower, because this is the worst part of the storm, but also the end of the storm here across the Carolinas. Radar, what I'm going to do here is I want to just give you more of an idea of just how heavy, again, this precipitation. This is usually actually a parameter we can sometimes look for trying to find hail, but for me, it's just going to help me just show you just how heavy. Notice the heaviest part here is getting ready to move through Gastonia, where our own Caroline Boyer is in Gastonia. She is going to experience the heaviest part of this sleet or freezing rain here in about the next 3 to 5 minutes. Now, farther off to the south and east, you can also see as you get towards portions near Rock Hill, off to the north and west, you're down in Chester County, York County. This is very, very heavy here. And I'll turn on a little eyedropper. You can get an idea of just how heavy when we start talking about. These are rainfall rates that we would see usually potentially in thunderstorms moving through across the Carolinas. But no, this is ice. This is freezing rain that we're experiencing here across the central Carolinas. And it continues to come down very heavy, where our own Maureen Wirtz was. She's seeing that moderate to heavy sleet. It is still going to pick up intensity here as we go through about the next, let's call it 30 or so minutes. Putting this in motion here, you can see, again, these heavy sleet rates moving through portions here of the Carolinas. Let me just clean this up here. You can see the heavy sleet rates moving through, and embedded here, there's an outside chance that we get a rumble of thunder. That's how strong this band is as it moves on through across the central Carolinas. This is all part of the actual cold front moving through, but this cold wedge has been so stubborn, it's actually still ice and sleet here across the central Carolinas. Very, very impressive what has been happening. Just a textbook cold air wedge here across the Carolinas. Temperatures got down to 18 degrees. We're only up to about now 25 over at the airport, staying very, very chilly out there. But the good news is for us here across the Carolinas, because of the sleet, not seeing much in the way of power outages. Some places seeing a few hundred power outages, but thankfully, because we haven't seen the level of freezing rain that was feared, because it has stayed too cold, Ted. Not that we're not getting the precipitation, it's just too cold. That's one of the reasons why we're not seeing the major power outage. Still going to watch maybe for a changeover to freezing rain, but every minute that goes by, it just stays this pouring sleet, Ted. That's better and better news here across the central Carolinas.
It certainly is, Andrew. Better and better news, and so much so I actually want to help break down exactly what we're seeing when it comes to the precipitation type, because we have been talking about the combination between the freezing rain, the sleet, and the different types that we would see, and this is what we're talking about of how cold that air is. The red on your graphic shows that warm nose, the warm air we've been talking about aloft or overhead that could melt the original snow and then give us more of the freezing rain. Where you see the bigger amounts, if you can follow my cursor here on your screen, the bigger rain, the bigger amount of warmth gives us the potential for the freezing rain. But that cold air has just been so stubborn and locked in place. We've gotten more of the sleet because of how cold it's been and how deep that layer of cold air has been as well. So typically where we were expecting that warm Gulf moisture to roll in, giving us a big column of above freezing air, we're not getting the above freezing air as wide and as big, which would lead to the icy conditions. So that's what's working in our favor here. Continuing to see more in the way of the sleet in terms of the ice potential, and that is what's going to give us what we were forecasting here, that trace to what could be up to 2 inches of sleet, which is likely going to get us towards the higher end of that range with the aggressive sleet rates that we've been seeing from this line crossing and bearing down on the I-77 corridor. 2 to 4 inches towards your mountain counties, anywhere from 4 to 6 inches. And then when we look at the ice potential, that 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, we're looking more towards the low end of that total, closer towards the 1/4 inch line than the 1/2 inch. As we continue to get the sleet, the longer we get the sleet, the better. And once that transfers over, that's where some of the issues will start to roll in, and the ice accretion will start to stick to the elevated surfaces, those power lines, those tree limbs, and beyond, which would lead to power outages. So we're not out of the woods yet, but our current now tracking showing more of the sleet potential than the freezing rain potential. We'll keep you updated to see if we find any changes between now and our next update coming up in a few minutes, guys.
All right, Ted, Andrew, thank you so much. The city of Charlotte is canceling trash recycling, yard waste, and scheduled bulky item pickup for tomorrow. Officials say it's obviously due to the weather and expected poor driving conditions. They say services will begin again on Tuesday and operate on a 1-day delay for the rest of the week.
Government offices in Lancaster County also canceled for tomorrow. Public safety divisions, public works will still be available throughout the storm. The county will make a determination tomorrow night regarding operations for Tuesday. And of course, you'll be able to see that announcement through official community channels. We'll also have that for you here on Queen City News.
A lot of services impacted. Also sports. The Charlotte Hornets are moving up the start time of their game tomorrow against the Philadelphia 76ers at the Spectrum Center. Tip-off will now be at 3 p.m. instead of 7. If you cannot make the game, you are able to exchange the tickets for a future home game this regular season. Team officials say they will continue to monitor the weather overnight and will give an update tomorrow morning if there are any other changes. While we keep this graphic up so you can look at this, it's impacting the NBA across the board here. The Mavericks, this storm went through Texas before coming here. The Mavericks, they couldn't even make it to Milwaukee.
Right.
So that game's not happening, Julian. The Denver Nuggets versus Memphis Grizzlies.
Canceled in Memphis.
That's canceled, obviously. And Pacers and Hawks have now been flexed to 1:30 tomorrow. So a couple of games that are getting pushed.
And we're about to bring in David Schumann. I think it's also important to mention, because we're talking about sports, the fact that, yes, we are about an hour away from going to the pregame coverage for Seahawks-Rams, the NFC Championship game there. I would say that David Schumann, would we consider him one of our MVPs? So far?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he was supposed to be at a concert.
That's true, last night.
He's here working this weekend.
All right, David, so how are the conditions? You have your umbrella out there.
We're not talking about sports just yet. We're still talking weather here. We're still talking weather. We'll get to the football soon. But for now, I mean, the word throughout the early afternoon was lull, right? That's what we kept saying. It's a lull. It's a lull. And for those of us who work outdoors for a living, the lull was nice. But now that time is over, because what's coming down out here is wet. It's heavy. It's what Ted and Andrew have been describing. It's really pretty gross. I'm kind of shut my mouth for a second and put the microphone up to the umbrella to see if you can hear it at all. Well, it was worse a couple seconds ago, I promise. But you can see, if we're going to look at the roads here, this is Sam Wilson Road right off of I-85. A truck is about to come through, and the road is covered. It's just nasty and gross out here. You don't want to be going too fast down this road, because when you come up on that light, there are cars turning. If you have to make a turn, it's just, you really want to take it slow. And fortunately, we haven't really seen too many vehicles. We've seen a lot of these trucks, but they're doing their thing. And the roads are really, if you have to be out here, that's really the only reason you should be out here. And everyone that is pretty much taking it easy. But you see how badly plowed this road is. We did see a plow come through here not too long ago. So the way that the weather is coming down now, this is what it's doing to the roads. The highways are still very slick. And I'm going to turn towards this Love's gas station next to me. You see that giant white van sitting right there? I talked to a man in there he's a delivery driver from New York, and he has a delivery to make, and he decided this is not the weather to make it in. So listen to what the conversation that we had. You're down here doing what?
I'm coming here from New York yesterday, so I have to drop some delivery here. I'm now waiting for the weather, and then I can drive it like this. The weather is so worst.
Yeah, what are the roads like right now?
It's slippery, so I can drive it.
And I'm going to show you. You have this big van. Does that make it better or worse for driving?
That's worse. That's worse. I can't move it. I will have to wait into tomorrow and see how the weather is going.
So what are you going to do, or what have you been doing?
I work with the delivery, so I'm pick up some delivery and go around. So I'm going around everywhere. Yeah. But the first time I came here and the weather, I can see the weather like this. It's very. I have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming down.
The van is not 4x4. This is not too heavy. I got a load here, but not too heavy. It's dangerous to drive like this.
Yeah.
Better wait tomorrow and see how it's gonna be.
Even with a delivery, it's not worth your safety.
No, not safe to do. Not safe to do today.
My man Eddie is like most of the New Yorkers and Northerners that I've talked to since the storm started. They're like, this is kind of nothing. Why is the whole state, reacting like this? But hey, we're doing the best we can. And even some of the drivers that have passed us on Sam Wilson Road here, they're kind of doing the rubbernecking. They see us out here with the microphone and the camera, and they're looking back as they drive. And I'm afraid for them. They're kind of swerving into the middle of the road. I don't want them to start sliding. Don't take your eyes off the road. So maybe we should kind of pack it up for right now and not distract too many more drivers with what we're doing here on the side of the street.
David, appreciate that report that driver might be there for a while if he's going to wait out the storm. Question for you. You came here to Queen City News from the Midwest. You've covered snowstorms yourself. How's the comparison covering snowstorms in the Midwest versus covering something like this? That's the ice storm that we're dealing with. What's the comparison?
I came from Minnesota. I was there for the last 5 years, and as you would expect up there, everyone's used to this kind of thing. They know how to react and they know how to be safe. So I've actually been really impressed with all the North Carolinians who are really taking this seriously. And maybe it's because it doesn't happen that often, but I don't know. It's nice to see people doing the right thing and doing what they can to stay safe. Yeah, so I've been encouraged by everything I've seen. This is my first snowstorm in the Carolinas, as it is for Matt Stell as well. There's a few of us like that. And so far, it's nice to see that things have been mostly safe as far as I can tell.
Oh, well, David, go ahead, get inside of the car, come back to the station, get warm for a little bit. Obviously, he didn't see the guy doing donuts that Matt Stell was talking to. So not everybody taking it in heeding the governor's warning.
Yeah, there's always a couple.
Few bad actors.
Well, speaking of the governor.
There's always going to be
Oh, shoot. Okay. He was going to say something. We'll have to check back in with him later. Speaking of the governor, in his latest update, Governor Josh Stein continues to say that, power and the roads are the biggest concerns in North Carolina.
He says while there have been a limited number of incidents so far, drivers should still avoid travel if they can.
We've had 3 brief interstate closures. All of the interstates have now been reopened. The State Highway Patrol is busy clearing the roads. They have removed 339 abandoned cars. They have dealt with over 400 car crashes. Again, please stay off the roads.
Again, the wise words here from the governor. We want to go out live now to Shakira Speaks in Midtown. Shakira, I cannot tell you how happy I am that you listened to us, did not go ahead and try to ice skate on the water behind you, and you have a car trying to make a turn in. Look at that.
The governor just said stay off the roads. Corey, look at these people. Look at those people right there. On the roads, they're waving at me. Wild stuff right here, guys. The roads, I want to, Corey, look at these roads right here. An hour ago, guys, we showed you guys that the roads were like nice and slushy. There was some water still over here, but now, an hour later, you heard David try to show you guys what it sounded like out here. It sounds just like that. A lot of pitter-patter, a lot of small little ice balls coming out of the sky. And now this road is covered. It's white. A lot less people on the road, I will say. A lot of things are closing. Harris Teeter is closed. A lot of the grocery stores, a lot of people going out picking their last little bit of stuff up. but a lot less people on the roads. It is cold. It is very windy. You can hear the ice coming out. A lot of people out here, Corey, I don't know if you can see those people. They're out here throwing ice, throwing balls around. It's not really ice, guys. I can't really even pick it up. I don't know if you can see this, Corey. Get a little close here. Look how small those balls are, guys. Look how it doesn't even look real. But again, stay off the roads. We haven't moved. We have kept our car in the same spot. We've just been kind of walking around, asking people why they're out, what they're doing. We also came encounter with an Uber driver who stopped me right after our last live shot and was telling us that he didn't understand why he didn't see any salt trucks on the roads, plowing anything out of here. And I said, well, people are trying to be as safe as possible, trying to keep the first responders off the road as possible. Duke Energy crews tell me that they plan to leave around 6:30. Hopefully it's a little done coming down so they can go and help people who need it. Again, as you can see, people are behind me, still on the roads, hopefully headed home to get out of the rest of the winter weather conditions. Guys, back to you.
All right, and to make it clear, Jen Goodwin, NCDOT, says they were out there. They have brined the roads. They're trying to plow as much as possible. But here's the thing. At a certain point, Shakira, if people ask you, it gets so cold, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the brine, it doesn't matter the plowing.
That's what I told him.
Well, you know what? You go ahead, get warm. We're going to talk with you in just a bit. Thank you, Shakira.
You know, Jen Goodwin also mentioned that they want that slush that we're seeing behind Shakira because then they can plow it and then resalt it. So yeah, appreciate Shakira for giving us that look there in Midtown. A layer of snow can be seen at the Lake Norman Air Park. We've been showing you this throughout the show. This is just northwest of Mooresville. Obviously, planes still on the ground. If the big ones at Charlotte Douglas aren't going into the air, that means those aren't either. So a few people, if they had plans to take to the skies, sorry to say, not anymore. We also have some beautiful pictures today out of the town of Dallas from the police department's Facebook page. Pretty sight, right? But as we've seen with these conditions, it's very icy out there. It's not that, pretty, beautiful snow. Road conditions are still dangerous, and there is more to come. Our reporters have seen the conditions start to deteriorate with the freezing rain coming down. Police department there is reminding residents to stay safe, and they can always go to the Citizens Resource Center as well as the Dallas Civic Center. Those are warming stations that have been set up in Dallas for people who, if their heat goes out or they need shelter, they can go to those areas. And obviously, you can also call 911 for any emergencies. All right, let's take a look at the power outages that we've been dealing with. Do we have any of the, Duke Energy maps or there we go. Okay, so the numbers have increased on Duke Energy's map here showing the recent power outages. It's gone from roughly 20,000, 22,000 in the western part of the state to now around 28,000 customers without power. If we zoom in closer to the Charlotte area, those numbers have also increased. We've added a couple of hundred outages. Over in Unionville, there are 400 customers without power. A little closer to Salisbury, another 100 to 200 customers without power. And then to the west over in Cherryville, there are a number of customers without power there as well. So we're starting to see those numbers change for Duke Energy customers. They're the ones, Duke serves the most customers in the Carolinas, 4.7 million, 3.8 million of them are in North Carolina, another 860,000 are in South Carolina. They have 18,000 workers who are ready to respond. Some of them out where Shakira was. She said they're planning to head out at 6:30 tonight. There are more crews that are stationed at Carowinds also waiting to respond. So as the conditions, once they improve, those workers will be out and about, hopefully bringing power back on to people who need it. This outage map that we're looking at here is from NC Electric Cooperatives. They serve, a few, not as many as Duke Energy, but that number has continued to go down. Earlier in this newscast, the number was roughly 9,000 customers without power. Then it dropped down to 7,300. Now we're seeing that just under 7,000 electric cooperative members without power. Most of those regions are in the 1 to 100 range. That's the green sections that you see there on your screen. Do we still have Dominion, that tab open that we can show people? Dominion Energy? Possibly? Okay, we're going to work on that while we talk about the power outages. But again, as this freezing rain comes down, there it is. As this freezing rain comes down, this is going to be, we're going to see these numbers, changing, obviously. Dominion Energy, they serve mostly Virginia, but they do cover kind of the northeastern part of our state. And you can see that they've got, a number of people without power. Obviously, that's a different area than what we're expecting, but it just kind of puts into perspective the, widespread issues that we're experiencing from this winter storm. Talking about the power outages, but, there's also some issues on the roads. We're seeing new video of a crash on I-85. This is in Gaston County. And Jen Goodwin, communications officer with NCDOT, was talking about this just a number of minutes ago. It has shut down all southbound lanes, and it was a semi-truck that rolled over near the exit to Gastonia and Highway 279. According to state transportation officials, that stretch of I-85 was supposed to be closed until around 5 o'clock. But let's check in with Julian, because Julian, you're looking at the traffic cameras. Have those lanes since reopened, or is it still closed?
So here's the thing. According to NCDOT, right, those lanes have been reopened. But really, as we've been going through, one accident clears, another one pops out. So those are on the southbound lanes now. Now I'm dealing with roads closed to accidents I-85 northbound. And it's almost, you want to imagine people rubbernecking there and looking at one accident, and then they end up in an accident themselves. And as we take a look here, the good news is this is the best I've seen the map in terms of accidents. Okay, so when Jen joined us, we talked about the accident that we had down here in Monroe. We had another one up near Concord. We had another one 77 near Uptown. We had that one that you were just talking about, and we saw the footage there on 85. Now we have another accident that we're dealing with northbound on I-85 right there. The road conditions, as we've been talking about each time we take a look at the traffic there, this is what you're dealing with, okay? Ice, ice, ice. Guess what? More ice. Go up there, you have heavy snow up in Mooresville. So what does that tell you? Stay off the roadways. You can't drive in ice. No matter what type of vehicle you have, there's no way that you're going to be able to negotiate driving in ice. The road temperatures here, as we take a look again, just not conducive for getting out there. And then, as we talked about as well with the brine, at a certain temperature, it's just not going to work in terms of clearing those roadways. Now, I do want to show you some cameras because we're talking about a lot in North Carolina. Let's take you down to South Carolina. These are live cameras. The good news is we're not seeing people out there. The bad news is that's what the roadway looks like. And you can tell that there have been some plows that have gone through those areas. But yeah, the road conditions aren't great. Taking a live look here, another camera. This is up further north here near Gold Hill Road. You can see you have a few semis out there taking things slowly. Let's go over to near Cherry Road there. Again, same scenes that you're seeing, not a lot of people on the roadways, and a lot of that ice kind of looks like snow out there, almost that mixture of slush. But keep on telling people, if you can stay off of the roadways, stay off of the roadways, because when one accident clears, we seem to have another one. And then again, the yellows and the reds that you're seeing, that's not because we have a whole lot of people out there. Quite the opposite, as I just showed you on the cameras. Not too many people out there, but what we are seeing is people moving slowly. Why are they moving slowly? Because the road conditions just are not conducive for going any faster than 20 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour, as we take you to kind of right where David Schumann is, not too far from where we are. Taking a look at Sam Wilson Road right there again, okay, 20 miles per hour on 85. I've said this several times. When is the last time you saw somebody do 20 miles per hour on I-85 when it wasn't rush hour? You haven't. It's because there's snowy conditions out there. You should not be on the roadways unless you absolutely have to be. And again, it needs to be a major reason because, one, it's not safe for you. And the second reason is you need to leave those areas open so that emergency responders can get to those crashes, also to allow for the brine trucks, the plows to get out there and try to clear the roadways if possible, Morgan.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the only time would be rush hour, right? Or, McAdenville, when everyone's trying to go and see the lights and it's all backed up during Christmas time.
Yep.
So obviously, I would take that in comparison to what we're dealing with right now.
There we go. And as we keep on talking about, thousands of miles of roads in North Carolina covered with a mix of ice, sleet, and snow, leading to hundreds of crashes in less than a day.
Yeah, Harrison Grubb is in Wake County with how things are looking out there.
After some overnight sleet and freezing rain, untreated surfaces like these sidewalks in Zebulon remain covered in a thick layer of ice. Plows running up and down major roadways across Zebulon,
We have everybody out and about.
clearing away sleet and ice.
Coming out of my subdivision, it's nothing but ice, but you just have to be careful driving slow, but once you get out here on 96, it's not bad at all.
While many decided to ride out the storm at home, some ventured out to grocery stores and gas stations to get some more food and supplies.
Came out to grab some energy drinks from the gas station. The roads are pretty good, at least for me with the truck.
While crews have done a good job clearing off main roads, town officials continue urging people to stay home, especially with cold temperatures and the possibility of more wintry weather.
When it rains, it washes the salt and brine off the roadways, so it can become more tricky as well. And it's really put out on the road for traction, and we just want to make sure that we're leaving that ability for our emergency personnel.
With concerns over lingering impacts of this winter storm, the town of Zebulon's offices and parks will be closed tomorrow.
And that's what we're seeing around here as well. Everything closing down, including the schools. Bringing in meteorologist Ted Phaeton and Andrew Brightman. They've been tracking it all for us.
I say, guys, you're talking about the timing of it. We're getting close to what is probably going to be the worst of the second band, right?
Yeah, it's coming down really right now, moving through in the form of that sleet with the cold air really stubbornly locked in place, giving us more of the sleet than the freezing rain, which is good news when it comes to the power outage threat. And of course, for folks who are hunkered down, they're likely seeing and hearing the pitter-patter of that sleet coming down right now.
And the line has been so impressive. It's obviously we're not concerned about tornadic activity, but there's almost mini hooks within the line. That's how strong it is, how much upward motion, getting a little bit of rotation in the atmosphere. Again, if we were about 35 degrees warmer, we'd be talking about severe weather right now across the Carolinas. That's how heavy it is. And Ted, you were just talking about, I think Julian and Morgan were mentioning it, the heaviest part of it right now is over Uptown. Actually, it's just moved east of our Queen Senior Studios, but the heaviest part of this storm right now is directly over Uptown Charlotte. Going to be pushing through Maureen Wirtz here in Noda over the next minute or so, just pouring sleet. And that's really what I want to get into here as we go first outside over to Gastonia. We're on Caroline Boyer. As you can see, just we got the sleet, the mess of just weather here. But the good news is we have been fortunate that temperatures are cold enough still, at least in the bottom, let's say a couple of thousand feet in the atmosphere, that we can actually get the raindrops to refreeze into sleet pellets, or else we'd be talking about just a major amount of freezing rain. We've been really fortunate, it's just all sleet. It's still coming down as heavy, basically, as what we expected, but just fortunate in that sense. We did get a report out of Mecklenburg County of about a quarter inch here of freezing rain so far from this system, and we're not adding to that, fortunately, at least for the most part, because we're seeing so much sleet. We still have the ice storm warning that goes here until really at least Monday morning, maybe even to the early afternoon. Now we're switching back over to radar here. You can see the pink, the blue, everything is basically ice at this point. But one thing I'll switch back over to is just showing you where the heaviest part of this band is as it continues to move into central portions of the Piedmont here. As I said, directly over Uptown Charlotte. It is truly impressive. Again, these are rates, I'd call them, I wouldn't say rainfall, sleet rates, that we'd see out of a thunderstorm, out of a potentially strong and even severe thunderstorm, basically over northern portions of Charlotte, between Charlotte and Huntersville right now, making its way towards Harrisburg. This is the strongest part of the line. We're still going to see moderate to even potentially heavy precipitation here as we go throughout the next hour or so. You notice the back end here now getting towards Morganton and Lenore. Once that clears out, you're basically done. But still, Gastonia, Lincolnton, Hickory, still going to see that moderate sleet here. Not maybe quite as heavy, not pouring sleet, but some moderate sleet over the next hour or so. Zooming out, it's all because this cold wedge just didn't want to go anywhere here across the Carolinas. Very stubborn. A lot of snow farther off to the north. I've got an aunt that lives in southeastern Massachusetts. Whew, she is seeing a lot of snow, probably about 15 to 20 inches from this storm system. But for us, it's been all ice. Thankfully, though, more sleet than freezing rain here across the Carolinas. Power outages right now because we've seen so much sleet instead of freezing rain. Just seeing a couple pop up here in Cleveland County. We're not seeing the amount of major power outages. Because I can assure you right now, if this what was going on outside was freezing rain and not sleet, Ted, we'd be talking a lot more about major power outages. We've been very fortunate that the cold wedge has been as durable as it has been, getting those temperatures down to 18 degrees earlier this morning, and still, even with all this moisture coming in, this is a lot of warm air trying to push in. We have not been able to get really our temperatures above 25 degrees.
Yeah, I've been saying that cold air really holding the line really all afternoon and into the evening now, where we are seeing more of the threat for that sleet versus the freezing rain that we were once expecting. Now, that's going to help bring down our power outage concerns, but this is what we've seen in terms of your forecast for sleet totals or what we've experienced in the past 12 hours. Half an inch around Charlotte, upwards of 1 to 2 inches towards that I-40 corridor, and still starting to accumulate even further. Now, we mentioned what the roadways are going to look like here. The deteriorating roadways, despite the heavy sleet that we're seeing, still icy conditions on the roads. Not passable roadways, especially the untreated roads, will cause some issues for you. So it's best to stay hunkered down as we go through the brunt of the storm right now, heading into the evening. So I want to jump over and show you a bit of our future cast. Right now, 6 o'clock is what we're looking at for the rest of the storm to push through, likely getting the continuation of the sleet, but still not out of the woods yet to see a bit of a transition into that freezing rain. The good news is sleet totals come up, your freezing rain totals come down, so your ice accumulation does not look as impactful as it once did as we head into the end of this system through your evening hours. So I'm thinking dinner time, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock is where we'll start to dry out, but the frigid temperatures will still very much stay locked in place, and what the threat will become now is any thawing out that we see heading into Monday will likely refreeze in the overnight hours with those frigid temperatures locked in place. So we'll start to dry out and clean things up a little bit heading into tonight, but Monday morning could still introduce the slick travel as your sleet forecast still looks to give us another 1/10 of an inch, if not slightly more than that. And we're looking at maybe a 1/10 of an inch from the freezing rain here on the back end if we transition into that freezing rain before this front completely crosses and pushes further east. So coming down on those ice totals, which is good news to bring down the threat for those power outages, but still riding out the storm as we go through the thick of it right now. We'll detail more of what we could expect here with another check coming up in the next few minutes.
All right, Ted, thank you so much. And what better way to ride out the storm, right, than to watch some football? Obviously, we all know that football fans are waiting here shortly to watch the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Seahawks. That's at 6:30. We're going to lead you with weather leading up to the start of that coverage, basically. So you're not going to miss any football action. We promise you that. But until then, we're going to keep you informed on everything that's happening.
And I will say for the betting fans out there, the line now 2.5. Do with that what you will. Just saying, we have some Seahawks fans here. We have some Rams fans here. We heard from Jen Goodwin. She's pulling for Matt Stafford.
She thinks that the Rams are going to take it. So
there we go. Okay. Obviously, Morgan also dealing with this as we take a look at what we're dealing with in the Charlotte area. Sleet now coming down. This is from West Charlotte right here as we're taking a look at those conditions. Building up there. It looks like on kind of like a deck area.
You can see it bouncing as it hits the surface too. And as we've checked in with our colleagues throughout the evening, we can all hear the freezing rain and as it hits the umbrella, or it even hits the microphone, right?
Yeah.
And this is just kind of a close-up view of what they're experiencing out there. It's just bouncing right off the surface as it lands on the ground there.
Yeah, I want us to show you some stuff from Steel Creek here. As you can take a listen, I believe we can kind of hear it come down.
Audio on this?
Well, they said there was going to be some good sound like here, but I don't know that we can quite hear it.
I can hear it a little bit. This is from our colleague Derek Dellinger. This is the Steel Creek area in Rivergate, what they're experiencing. And we just got this into our studio just within the past, 10 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even look at the vegetation that's covered, and this is kind of what we've been discussing is as the snow doesn't hang on to limbs as heavily as freezing rain does, right? And it really starts to weigh them down. So that's the concern, and the hope is that it won't impact the limbs as much.
Well, and that's a good news. So we have heard it right from Duke Energy, right? Mm-hmm. That you want, if you're going to pick between the two, frozen rain or sleet, you want sleet because the sleet's not going to accumulate. It poses less of a risk.
Right.
The freezing rain is what is the most dangerous because that's going to quickly coat the tree limbs, the power lines, and that's when you talk about the big risk for power outages there. We saw what it's like in Steel Creek. We want to go now back to Gastonia, where we have Caroline Boyer out there. It looks, at least for now, that conditions aren't too bad. Caroline, what do you see it?
Yeah, Julian, it's definitely slowed down a lot since I last talked with y'all as far as the precipitation goes. This is a lot heavier and wetter, if that makes sense. It's not doing that ping pong effect that we've been talking about. It's not bouncing off of things. It's just kind of like sitting. You might be able to tell on my jacket. It's just kind of wet. I did two things to talk with y'all about. I did go back because the last time I talked with y'all, there was some hullabaloo going on behind me with some power trucks. I went back and watched that. That was actually before the power trucks came through. There was a car that was trying to go up this hill on Armstrong Park Road, and it could not get up the hill. It was sliding back down. So a lot of people having trouble on this hill as it becomes really sludgy as more and more cars come this way. And again, a lot of people still having trouble with this main intersection at East Franklin Boulevard and Cox Road. Now get this, y'all. Our friend who we talked to last time, Kalen Red Rogers, as soon as he was done with our interview, he was ready to go home. He takes his Mustang, comes to this intersection, and I'm going to show y'all the video. He gets stuck in that intersection. So a couple of people came out and they tried to push his car. He was finally able to get free. There were a couple of people on ATVs who I assume are riding around trying to help people who are getting stuck in intersections like this one. But yes, our friend Kalen Red Rogers, who was trying to go home after he got off of work at the tire and brake store, got stuck in this intersection at East Franklin Boulevard and Cox Road. So you can't make this stuff up, people. As far as the traffic in this intersection, things have seemingly started to slow down as the precipitation is also slowing down. Have not been seeing as many cars coming through here within the past few minutes. So people are starting to take that advice and stay home as it begins to get dark outside. Morgan and Julian.
Caroline, I know you're with Marcus. Was that him in that? I imagine somebody was shooting video, so it may not have been him. Who was that pushing that car that just helped him get to that intersection?
It was just a good Samaritan. Marcus, our photographer, was shooting the video. We were sitting in our car warming up in between hits, and we saw Kalen get stuck in the intersection, and it's kind of seemingly out of nowhere. Someone dressed in that
from
kind
earlier.
of highlighter yellow suit. Yeah, just kind of came out of nowhere and helped. So it was very nice of them, a good Samaritan.
Look at that, Caroline. Thank you for that. And good on Marcus. Way to hop out of the car and get the footage for his brother. We appreciate you. Caroline, get warm, get back in the car. We're going to check in with you in just a little bit. Morgan, we were talking about it, about the fact that his Mustang may not be able to make it out in the conditions. And we saw right there.
Right, and that's the thing is, you know, most drivers here don't have all-wheel drive. So when you get stuck in weather like that, your car's not equipped to deal with it either. We can go to Davison. Okay, we popped this shot up for a little bit there, but probably not an ideal day to
go out on the boat. No, this is not a day to put on the sunscreen, the shades, and
I mean, maybe not. Unless you got like a solid heater, or a houseboat, I can't imagine. Yeah.
This is a Freedom Boat Club out there, and as you can see, the car making its way over that bridge right there. Another good reminder. I know you're probably sick of us saying it, but we're going to keep on pounding the drum here. Those bridges, overpasses, those are going to be the first ones to freeze. So as we talk about us going into the overnight conditions, again, we're about 540 right now. Those are areas that are pretty bad in terms of where you're going to see the freeze happen first.
Yeah, we are seeing some of the impacts of the freezing conditions in the Charlotte area. This is just, I mean, I can't imagine these residents who have dealt with this. A pipe burst inside the Allure at South Park Apartments. This was on Carnegie Boulevard. This is the parking deck there, so you can see, and again, this is right near South Park Mall. And it just flooded both the inside of the parking garage and the hallways of the apartments. I mean, talk about dealing with a mess and at a time when you're supposed to stay inside and not venture out, and then the inside looks like this. So there is some water damage inside the apartments, and it's just something that residents are dealing with right now. Just quite the headache there.
Okay, now it's not the only thing that people are dealing with. Take up to Statesville, we have a water main break over there. Chambers Street and Elm Street, the main broke around 1 p.m. They say it could be as late as 7 before it's repaired. So we're going to have to check to see if that's been repaired yet. But the area could be without water for a bit until that's fixed. Crews are asking everyone to avoid the area considering those dangerous conditions. You should be off the roadways anyway.
We've been talking about NCDOT, SCDOT, all the workers that are out there helping to keep us safe. North Carolina National Guard says that they have been hard at work sending out crews to help with winter weather. They deployed more than 450 personnel and along with more than 180 vehicles in their response effort.
Yeah, they also say they'll continue to send out crews to work with local agencies as this storm goes on. Also, we know this, school closures, that is already in effect for tomorrow. Watauga, Iredell, Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Newton, Conover, Lincoln County, all of those already canceled for tomorrow as we continue to look at the other ones canceled. We also know Community School of Davidson, Watauga County Schools, joining the list of growing school closures. 24 school districts have changed their schedule for tomorrow already. And then, Morgan, we also know people are going remote learning.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something that everyone did during COVID, right? As everyone learned how to keep up with their school schedule online. So a number of closures are happening, but also people are going online. So make sure to check in with your school. It looks like Fort Mill, Rock Hill schools, Chester County, Alexander, they're all doing e-learning. So gonna have to check those platforms and make sure that the kids are keeping up even at home. So no more snow days, which is, you know, we would watch the crawl and wait to see your school, and then if you blinked and missed it, you'd have to watch it all over again.
Did I miss my school right there? Oh my God. And then you have to sit and watch it go again. Look, now everybody's an iPad kid, but we don't have an iPad kid here. This is David Schumann. No iPad. Instead, he's got an umbrella in hand. David, how are you doing over here in West Charlotte?
Julian, Morgan, as it begins to get dark here in West Charlotte, the precipitation has really changed a lot, honestly. I mean, it's transitioned quickly. Earlier we had ice pellets falling, and then it got very sleety and heavy and wet, and now it's pretty much just a light rain, and that wetness is not doing good things for the roads. Let's take a look at what we have over here. I mean, it's just pretty gross out here on Sam Wilson Road. We're right off of I-85, and like even if you kind of kick through the snow covering, it's icy underneath and not great conditions for driving, and we haven't seen too many vehicles up and down the road, which is good. Here's one coming right now, and you can just see how slow this driver is going. Everyone that we've seen has pretty much been taking it easy like that, as you would hope. And if we turn the other way now into this Love's parking lot, or Love's gas station parking lot, there's a lot of vehicles parked around the edges. Those vehicles haven't moved in quite a while. So I think, you know, this is a truck stop. People have been hunkering down. And in this white van right here in front of us, that was a driver I met named Eddie, who he has a job to do. He's doing a delivery, and he's decided, nope, not today, and he's gonna wait this storm out. You're down here doing what?
I came here from New York yesterday, so I have to drop some delivery here. I'm now waiting for the weather, and then I can drive it like this. The weather is so worst.
Yeah, what are the roads like right now?
It's slippery, so I can drive it.
And I'm gonna show you. You have this big van. Does that make it better or worse for driving?
That's worse. That's worse. I can't move it. I will have to wait into tomorrow and see how the weather is going.
So what are you going to do, or what have you been doing?
I work with the delivery, so I'm pick up some delivery and go around. So I'm going around everywhere. But the first time I came here and the weather, I can see the weather like this is very, I have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming down.
The van is not 4x4. This is not too heavy. I got a load here, but not too heavy. It's dangerous to drive like this. Yeah. Better wait tomorrow and see how it's gonna be.
Even with a delivery, it's not worth your safety.
No, not safe to do. Not safe to do today.
He's a good man for staying off the roads. Just a few minutes ago, I spoke to our Queen City News meteorologist, Brandon Lawson, and he told me the way that this storm has shifted and the way conditions are now, there's not as much risk for power outages later tonight, which is good news. So we'll continue to monitor everything that's going on in the area and continue to ride this one out.
All right, again, David Schumann live for us. David, thank you. We do want to get to this. We've talked about the impacts of the storm, and Morgan, we're just getting word that Charlotte Douglas under a full ground stop right now.
Yeah, and what's interesting is this storm came from, started in Texas, right, different areas, and has moved into our area. DFW, it's showing on the FAA website that they're also on a ground stop until 7 p.m. A few details about the one here in Charlotte. It looks like it's set to expire at 6:30, so roughly 45 minutes, but it also has a probability of extension for this ground stop at 30 to 60%. So, I mean, this isn't a huge surprise as we take a look at FlightAware's misery map. Charlotte is right up there with DFW and Chicago that have all the delays. DFW, as I just mentioned, they've got a ground stop right now. So expect, listen, so many flights were already canceled that Charlotte Douglas was pretty darn close to a ground stop. They only had select flights coming in and leaving. But again, nothing is heading out or coming in right now.
I think we saw maybe 3 that were possibly going to make it in to Charlotte Douglas, and that means that those flights are now going to be diverted somewhere else because you can't land in Charlotte Douglas. So again, we've already said it several times, American, Delta, Southwest, all of those, they're allowing you to do free changes. And I'm going to go ahead and give our tag team over there a heads up before we come to them in just a little bit. If you guys could go ahead and get the timing of the storm, because I think what you guys are saying, the worst of it actually coincides with when Charlotte Douglas has their ground stop potentially ending. But you guys have that kind of lined out hour by hour, and it seems like Charlotte Douglas is probably tracking the same thing that Ted and Andrew are in terms of the timing of that. But again, we've seen warnings. Charlotte Douglas, not safe for planes to be on there. And Morgan, that means if it's not safe for planes to land at Charlotte Douglas, it's definitely not safe enough for people to be trying to get in and around as they're in places like Monroe. Roadways are not safe. I'm going to ask some clarification real quick as we look at Monroe. That's what people are dealing with. Stay off the roads if possible. Look at that car right there. It's an image of a car going into the trees. Officials trying not to be dramatic when they're saying that these driving conditions are slick.
Yeah, authorities in western North Carolina are working to determine if an early morning death was weather-related. Buncombe County deputies responded to a highway there around 8 a.m. and found a man lying dead on the side of the road. Investigators say they haven't discovered any evidence of foul play at this time. They are investigating the incident to determine if the death was weather-related. And officials are urging people to just stay home, right? No cars in the ditch, and you don't want anyone getting hurt out there.
Yeah.
Let's bring in meteorologists Ted Phaeton and Andrew Brightman. Guys, what are you seeing in terms of the airport? We mentioned this, what they're dealing with at the airport, and then the track of this storm.
Yeah, the track of the storm really is the brunt right now, dealing with that, transitioning over to freezing rain. You mentioned ticking up those temperatures a little bit, that stubborn cold air loosening up its hold on the front lines just a little bit here.
Yeah, we're seeing those temperatures now up to 28 degrees here in Charlotte, seeing that transition over to freezing rain as those temperatures continue to move up. But again, that brings back the potential for some icing here. Ted, a bit of a concerning situation we're going to be following very closely here. Probably got about another 30 or so minutes left in this event, and then we are going to be done with it here as it begins to starts to clear out later on this evening after 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, so the transitioning happening now as we take a look at how much longer we'll have. Again, another 30 minutes or so heading into that 7 and 8 o'clock hour. Your threat drops down significantly. Does not mean we're out of the woods yet with the threat on the roadways. It's just what's coming down from the sky, that potential for the freezing rain slowly coming down over the next 45 minutes or so. So we have the ice storm warning still lasting until your Monday morning. Winter storm warning sticking around as well. Wanting to jump right into our radar as we still see the transition into that pink. And here's the end of that line here, continuing to move further in to what we're going to be seeing in terms of the impacts from this radar. So holding on to, again, the freezing rain, that sleet, and even further, more of what's going to be the impacts as we look at your last 30 minutes or so. Really, how fast this line has pushed further east along that I-77 corridor. The blue on your map, that's indicating where more of that sleet has settled in as opposed to the freezing rain. And even zooming in here, just everybody inundated with that pink. So you're getting a wintry mix one way or another if you're in and around uptown, up through I-77, but further out west towards Morganton and heading into Hickory. already starting to dry out as we come to the end of this this 1-2 punch from Mother Nature with this winter storm. So zooming out, showing you how this this Miller B setup has progressed. That cold front pushing further east over the cold air locked in place. The temperatures have come up a little bit, but still cold enough to facilitate more of that wintry mix. And we're seeing the rainfall now make its sight set towards the eastern parts of North Carolina, the low country of South Carolina, and we still hold on to that cold front, giving us some breezy and gusty conditions. So don't let your guard down, as we still could see some of the ice accumulation here towards the end of this system. The line of those power outages from this cold front making its way into the western Carolinas. So we've had a few more power outages reported now. Not as widespread, but just shy of 1,000 customers without power from York County, Gaston, Cleveland, Mecklenburg Union, and Rowan County. So, Andrew, as we keep an eye on those impacts coming towards the end of the storm, here are some of those power outages. Luckily, we know it could have been a lot worse had this been an entirely freezing rain event. So the sleet certainly has come in just in time as that cold air sat in place for most of the day.
Yeah, and that's right, Ted. But we're starting to see a few more power outages here across portions of the Carolinas. A couple more counties bringing in those power outages here, but generally not as bad as what it could have been if we had seen more freezing rain. Thankfully, this has been, for the most part, sleet here. And you can see over the past 12 hours the amount of sleet that we've seen here across portions of the Carolinas. 1/2 inch of sleet in Charlotte, 3 inches of sleet in Statesville, almost 4 inches of sleet in Jefferson over the past 12 hours. Road conditions, extremely icy. Temperatures, again, I keep watching what we're seeing here over at the airport, but temperatures currently right now in the upper 20s. So very, very icy conditions. Dangerous to be out on the roadway right now with this likely freezing rain. Temperatures now reflecting what we're seeing over at the airport here. But I do want to emphasize, you know, right as we finish coming off here, by the time we get to about 7, 8 o'clock, the event is going to be done here across the Carolinas, and then we'll be able to recover. The roads are still going to be dangerous. Temperatures are still going to be in the upper 20s, around the 30-degree mark. Just something to keep in mind here as we go throughout the rest of this evening here. Likely dangerous driving conditions all the way throughout your Monday morning. How much more sleet could we see? Maybe another 1/10 or so down across portions of the Sandhills, someplace maybe picking up 2/10. Still concerned about that icing as it still comes down here, Ted. Been watching, again, us change over to that from sleet over to freezing rain. Temperatures still stay well below freezing in the upper 20s here. So still a concerning situation with that potential for ice buildup as we go probably through about maybe the last hour, hour and a half of this event. Let's send it over to Julian and Morgan.
All right, thanks, guys. We want to actually go out to Queen City News reporter Shakira Speaks. She's been out in Midtown for us, kind of showing us conditions and how they've been developing throughout the evening.
Shakira, more people actually heeding what the governor said and officials saying. Have you seen less cars on the roadway since last time we joined you?
Yes, I have seen less cars. I was about to say no cars until we just saw a car pass us. I'm pretty sure people are headed to work. There are some places that couldn't close, some people that couldn't not go to work today. I wanted to show you guys, it's gotten a lot colder since the last time. And Corey, if you could show the people that. This was, it was a lot less frozen 45 minutes ago, the last time I talked to you guys. It was, you could pick it up. Couldn't really form it into an ice ball. Now you can form this into a really nice ice ball because that's all it is right now, ice, not snow. A lot less people out. I think a lot of people have walked their dogs, walked their pets for the last few times for the night. It's still a lot colder, guys. It's still really windy, excuse me. Still stay off the roads if you can. Nothing is open, so stay off the roads. The roads are still a lot slicker. It's white, but it is ice. I got on there a few minutes ago just to test it out. It is very slippery. So if it's slippery to walk on, it's very slippery to be out with your tires in. Guys, back to you.
All right, Shaq.
Go ahead, Julian. Go ahead.
Sorry, Shaq. Thank you. Go ahead. Stay warm. We will talk to you much later on this evening, guys. So you've earned a little break. I also want to talk about this. We have the worry for power outages as we go ahead and pull up the Duke Power outage map right here. Not seeing a lot of power outages, as many as we may see in a few hours as this band moves through. But Sam, if you can go ahead and push in a little bit towards the Charlotte area. Take a look at that.
Cherryville and Shelby, they've got roughly 1,000 people without power in that area. That number wasn't as high last time we visited. the Duke Energy power outage map. Again, under the cause, they're all saying storm damage, but we don't know what exactly that looks like. Is it a car that, you know, crashed into a pole, or is it a limb that fell on a power line? We just don't know yet, and Duke Energy crews, they're just waiting to respond at this point.
No, and I think it's a good point that you just brought up, Morgan. When we came on this broadcast at around 3 p.m., we were dealing with about 250 for the whole entire Charlotte area. Now we're talking about 240 just inside of 485, and more outages as we take a look in other areas down there near Monroe as well. So the numbers are increasing. Do want to go over now to Matt Stell in Huntersville. Matt, I am curious. You said you traded in your Italian leather gloves for the industrial versions today. How are those bad boys holding up?
They worked much better today, Julian. Thank you for asking. I should have did that yesterday, but you know, you live and you learn. So go with the industrial, folks, if you have to be outside. We're here at Birkdale Village, a very popular shopping center here in Huntersville, not far from Interstate 77. And Morgan and Julian, if you've ever been to, like, let's say Universal Studios or the Warner Brothers lot in Hollywood and Burbank, you know, you've been on the back lot where they have those like fake cities set up. You know what I'm talking about? Kind of the case here, similar to that. Pretty much a ghost town. Tim here is going to kind of pan over to my right. You can see no one in sight. We've got a couple of cars driving through, but most of these businesses closed. I know it's a Sunday night. Typically, a lot of these businesses would still be open, but yeah, a ghost town here, and for good reason. When we moved locations, when we talked to you earlier, we were at the corner of Holly Point and Statesville Road. We moved across on the other side of I-77 here to Birkdale Village. And when we were driving on Sam Fur Road, it took us a good while. We took it slow, because that ice is nothing to joke around with here. So, and Huntersville, funny enough, unfortunately, the town of Huntersville says that their new town hall that they just opened, that they just cut the ribbon on Friday. They had a great big party. This is where their city council and their city officials and departments are located. Yeah, they just cut the ribbon on it on Friday. That town hall is closed tomorrow. Also, the Huntersville Recreation Center and also the Aquatic Center, of course, as you expect, those will also be closed tomorrow, Monday. And garbage collection, the town says that every day will be delayed. No shock there in Huntersville. So we're going to try to get warm as we can and keep you updated on those conditions. I know we're getting ready to go into football, but we'll keep you updated online, of course, on our app and QCnews.com. Morgan and Julian.
Matt, you have been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for showing us the conditions throughout the evening.
That's right. All right, let's get over to Gaston County, give you another look at what they were dealing with. State transportation officials now say all lanes I-85 northbound in Gastonia will be closed until 7 this evening because of the crash. A semi rolling over there. Officials say thankfully nobody was hurt. Investigators say they don't know why the crash happened. They suggest getting off at exit 20 to go around that closure, but Morgan, just a good reason to stay off the roadways.
Yeah, new photos of that crash uploaded by Gastonia police to social media. You can see all the slush that's on the road there and the tracks that the semi, showing where it crashed. So hopefully everyone involved is okay. Obviously some scary conditions on the road. Hey, let's get one more check of the conditions before we head to football from Ted and Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew, we had a lot of that sleet now transitioning into freezing rain coming on the back end of this system, crossing the Carolinas and I-77 right now.
It's been a fascinating storm, but again, that heavy sleet brought down at least a little bit warmer temperatures up to 28 here in Charlotte, and still concerned about that icing here, Ted, as we go through the next 30 or so minutes. Just one last look in here at pinpoint radar. Going to be seeing those temperatures stay right around just under the freezing mark here. And as we continue to look forward here throughout the evening hours, notice the back edge already moving into places like Lincolnton, Shelby, Hickory. Going to be seeing those better conditions begin to move in here in relatively short order. Those improving weather here. Still going to be staying icy. Stay off the roadways tonight. Also still concerned about how much ice accretion that we're going to see as we go through this evening as the last bit of the storm moves through, Ted.
Stay safe, guys, and of course we'll have you updated all throughout the evening, guys.
Thanks so much.
And here, you get a twofer. Not only do you get football coming up, but Morgan and I, Ted, Andrew will be in during the commercial breaks to keep you updated with the latest on this storm.
For now, enjoy the game.